when everyone else woke up in this deadly survival world with a basic treehouse seed and absolutely no way to tell good soil from bad after 7 failed creator authority unlocks. Seio got a consolation prize called item identification. That skill let him read the color grade of any soil, plant, or beast, so he planted in rare blue soil and grew an unmatched purple treehouse. By the first event, Seio Shin sat alone atop the district. That basic junk seed had crowned him #1. If this journey hooks you, hit like and subscribe to lock in your spot for what comes next. Both buttons matter, but to truly appreciate his rise, we must see where he started. Let us go back. He wakes up in a jungle. The insects around him are screaming so loud he cannot believe he slept through any of it, and when he bolts upright, he finds himself lying on a square stone slab in the middle of a dense forest, sore all over, as if he spent the whole night on a hard floor. He sits there, dazed for a long while before accepting this is no dream. The last thing he remembers is crawling into bed, leaving him clueless how he ended up here in short sleeves and strange shorts he has never owned. For one cold second, he wonders if he was kidnapped. Then a voice echoes inside his skull and snaps him. Fully awake, it welcomes him to the survival world and says his only objective is to survive, telling him to forget everything he once had while promising a grand gift for all newcomers, a treehouse he must never abandon because it is his only reliance. A second message reveals he has obtained a treehouse seed and has 3 days to choose a spot to plant it, after which it cannot be moved. A third notification explains he is inside a newbie protection period, meaning creatures will not attack any survivor for 3 days, warning him to plant his treehouse as soon as possible. A treehouse seed, and a newbie protection period. Wonderful, none of those words mean anything to him yet. While he is still chewing on all that, a ball of light blinks into the air. When he reaches for it, a seed the size of a walnut drops into his palm. The voice calls it a treehouse seed that grows a small shelter, the most basic survival security a survivor can get, instructing him to find fertile soil. Is this a game world? Why is there a newbie gift pack, and whose voice keeps speaking in his head? He pinches himself with his fingernails, the most primitive test he knows, and the sharp little jolt of pain tells him everything. The message said, all newcomers, meaning there are others scattered out here in the same messes him, a whole survival game where everyone lives or dies. If they fail, do they die? He does not know, and he is in no hurry to find out. He climbs off the slab and stretches, his body feeling normal and his energy strangely full. The seed is pale yellow and surprisingly heavy for its size, about the weight of an egg. He cannot tell whether the rule about fertile soil is just flavor text, or whether the richness of the dirt actually changes how the treehouse turns out. A city kid like him cannot tell good dirt from bad, that is for sure. He grumbles that this game does not even come with a tutorial, which is honestly discouraging, but he traveled for work often enough that being dropped somewhere strange does not break him. The 3-day window means he is safe for now. Since he is here, the only thing to do is find a way to live. Then a line of cold text cuts in, announcing that the survival world is unlocking creator. He wonders what that authority even means, but the next screen displays a failure warning. It attempts a second and a third time, making his stomach tighten at this sudden bug. A major glitch right now would be a complete disaster, as the failures keep climbing. By the 7th attempt, he completely gives up expecting anything good to happen. He just prays the system does not break before it declares the full unlock failed. Instead, it grants him partial creator authority, starting with item identification. The main system failed, but getting partial creator authority is still a huge win. Having played sandbox games, he knows creator mode usually means an invincible state. It is essentially a built-in cheat code with unlimited resources. Now he focuses on the seed, noticing its description has already updated. It will grow into a short, small treehouse if planted in barren soil. Ordinary soil yields a medium one, while fertile soil creates a tall treehouse. This item identification ability is incredibly useful, prompting him to look down at the dirt. A detailed description blooms in his vision, labeling the ground as barren soil. It is a common white grade, lacking the organic matter and nutrients needed. He can actually see the soil fertility, and as he sweeps his gaze around, the entire area lights up with a faint white glow, indicating basic tier ground. One after another, the surrounding objects get labeled, starting with the stone slab. It is a white grade spawn point, good for nothing but making his body ache. can be broken with a chisel, while a nearby poplar tree is labeled white. It is a common jungle tree meant for wood, alongside some white-grade mushrooms. They are poisonous amanita mushrooms, the exact kind to eat if someone wanted to die. Telling deadly fungi apart at a glance makes this a seriously impressive ability. Finding only white-grade items makes sense since this is just the starter zone. He decides to head out in search of fertile soil, food, and clean water. Finding resources in a jungle should be easy, especially with his new power. Without identification, a city kid like him would never know how to judge soil. But get this, now that he has a clear guide, there is no way he gives up. He still has a 3-day protection period, serving as a reliable safety net. Slipping the seed into his pocket, he checks the slab one final time. He confirms there are absolutely no starter tools waiting for him here. Armed with just a seed and luck, he marches into the thick woods. With his ability active, nearby plants and stones flare in white light. The protective bubble seems to have cleared the jungle of all hostile beasts. The scanning range is incredibly generous, stretching past the dense canopy of trees. Everything near and far glows clearly, and soon, a green flash catches his eye. That rare color instantly lifts his mood, signaling a higher-tier resource ahead. Though the source remains hidden, the glowing guide points him in the right direction. Even before reaching the glow, the sound of rushing water meets his ears. His lingering anxiety fades as he spots a beautifully clear, flowing stream. It is a couple of meters wide and quite shallow, rushing fast over rocks. Dipping his hand inside, the bone-chilling cold makes him shiver despite the tropical heat. The system labels the water as a green-grade source of clean, fresh water. It is perfectly safe to drink straight, though a small warning suggests boiling it. Ignoring the system advice to boil it first, he eagerly bends down to drink. He tosses his dignity aside and plunges his head right in, drinking like a wild animal. Back home, he lived on iced soda and avoided hot drinks, so this cold water is fine. His stomach can take it. As long as the quality is decent, he is completely good. Standing up, he wipes his mouth, noticing fish and tiny shrimp darting through the water. The stream is so clear he can count the pebbles below, including one very smooth stone. It reads as a green-grade pebble, apparently some raw material for making tools. Why does the system always say apparently? He wonders what this thing actually makes. If this world has a workbench, he will probably find it inside that treehouse. For now, finding some fertile soil has to remain his top priority. The land around the water is totally barren, but he is not giving up hope yet. He has fresh water, and following the stream could easily lead to a massive river. Or maybe even the vast ocean. He takes a seat on a rock, checking the midday sun. He usually skips breakfast, but this long trek has left him absolutely starving. Following the water downstream, another glowing green light soon catches his eye. He does not just run over this time. Instead, he stops to measure the distance. It is roughly 1,000 meters away, the limit of his scanning skill. That range is huge, allowing him to check resources a kilometer off with clear sight. Even if he only sees the glow, it still points him in the right direction. Now this is a seriously useful cheat power, and his respect for it keeps growing. Picking up the pace, he approaches the source of that bright green light. But when he finally sees what is waiting for him, his jaw drops. It is food. Looks like starving out here will not be an issue. Even better, it is something completely new, which instantly triggers his inner foodie. The plant is hidden deep in the brush. Without that glow, he would never have spotted it. The system labels it as a green-grade red berry, a totally edible sweet fruit. It can be eaten raw, tasting sweet and sour, perfect for quenching thirst. He plucks one off the branch, wipes it on his shirt, and pops it right in. It tastes completely unique, somehow incredibly wild and bursting with fresh juice. Finding dozens of them, he strips the bush clean and washes them in the stream. After eating a few to curb his hunger, he carefully stuffs the rest into his pockets. He makes sure not to crush them as he walks, snacking as he goes. This afternoon is turning out great, with green lights popping up everywhere. Right alongside the water, he spots an apple tree in the distance. It is about 500 meters away. He grabs 3 apples and some mushrooms. He even finds some handy medicinal herbs perfect for healing wounds. Since he does not have a bag, he uses his shirt as a makeshift pack. He knots the sleeves together. Other heavy resources must be left behind. He cannot carry large stones and trees. Now the sky is starting to darken. Without a torch, pushing forward is impossible since his skill only highlights objects. That glow provides no actual illumination, though strangely, it works better at night. The colors look much sharper out here, without the bright sun washing them out. He must rest before total blackness sets in, relying on his protection period. It should keep wild beasts away, but travel is still out of the question. Sleeping in the open is risky, even without the threat of monster attacks. A sudden rainstorm could easily leave him completely soaked and incredibly sick. Further on, just before the sky goes dark, he finds a cave, the Green Light. Having guided him here all along, 200 or 300 meters from the stream, and glowing at the mouth, the system identifies it as a green-grayed black bear cave, the home of a fierce black bear that lived here until a mysterious force recently made it vanish. It will not return for at least 3 days. A bear cave, of course. Lucky for him, the protection period emptied it out because stumbling upon an active bear den could have cost him a limb. He is a little nervous, but he trusts the description since this is a feature of creator mode. If even this lies to him, he might as well die to find out. Whether death sends him back home, he steps inside only a little since it is pitch black and sits against the wall near the entrance to unpack. After eating an apple, he treats the day's injuries because walking through the woods in short sleeves and shorts left his arms and legs scratched raw and swollen with red welts. Back home, he would have ignored it, but here, an infected wound could turn into something far worse. Luckily, he grabbed some medicinal herbs earlier. One, a hemostasis grass of green grade, crushes onto wounds to prevent inflammation and speed up healing. Looking like plain grass, he never could have found without his ability. Spotting its glow, he grinds it between 2 flat stones washed at the stream and smears the paste over his calves and arms. A cooling comfort spreads. Until after a grueling day of walking, he drifts off to sleep. He waits for daylight. His calves and arms are completely healed once he wipes away the dried herbal paste. The scratches are gone as if they never even happened. This grass really is something else, faster than any medicine from his old world. Still uneasy about the bear den, he gets up and leaves quickly. He eats some apples and berries for breakfast and heads back down to the stream. A full day of walking has changed the water. It is no longer a thin trickle, but wider and deeper, measuring about a meter. Fish and shrimp are visible everywhere, but he does not waste energy chasing them. Right now, finding fertile soil is his main priority. Along the way, he passes only 5 patches of ordinary soil. The rest is completely barren, and he has not seen any other survivors either, which is strange. Finding fertile dirt by intuition would be almost impossible. Even spotting ordinary soil is hard without ability like his, so maybe this world never intended for anyone to grow a high-grade treehouse. The thought actually excites him because if he finds fertile soil, his starting point will be far ahead of everyone else. It is in the bag. Can he actually pull it off today? Only time will tell. As he walks, he works out the pattern of the soil and resources. So far, he has seen only 2 colors, white and green, with white being a grade lower. The 5 patches of green soil all turned up where green plants grew, but a few green plants also grew in white barren soil, so white soil mostly grows white plants and sometimes green one, while green soil so far grows green plants across the board. Maybe green soil even has a chance of growing something higher. While he is still turning this over, a broad sweep of green light fills his vision and joy surges through him. He jogs forward, looking toward the source, and the instant he sees it, he is overjoyed. A lake. He knew there would be a lake. The ground around a lake is far flatter than around a stream, much better for a home, and where there is a lake, resources are bound to be rich, maybe even a patch of fertile soil. He jogs to the shore, and the wide open view after days of tangled jungle pulls a deep sigh of relief out of him. The lake is not small, nothing like a massive reservoir, but about the size of an ordinary small one. The water is crystal clear and deep, with fish and shrimp drifting through, reeds along banks and lotus leaves floating on the surface. Without this survival situation, he could easily mistake this for a park. The reeds show up as green grade, a raw material for tools. Even a lotus root reads as green grade. Food he can eat raw or cooked. One material, one food. This is the perfect spot to settle down. But is there any fertile soil here? He looks around and a flash of blue light cuts across his vision. Blue light, his eyes light up and he runs straight for it. The blue bush sits only a few dozen meters from the water, showing up as a large red berry of blue grade. It is edible, sweet and sour, with vision-enhancing effects that grant 2 hours of night vision when eats. blue quality red berries with an actual effect like that. He can hardly believe it, but the berries are not the real point. He looks down slowly at the dirt beneath them, its fertile soil of blue grade. It is incredibly rich in organic matter and nutrients, rare even in this jungle. Beautiful, he clenches his fist. He finally found it, but he does not rush. Instead, scouting around the lake to check for other fertile soil. To his disappointment, this single patch of blue seems to be the only one, but the green soil is everywhere, far more than along the stream, nearly half the ground. Reads as green, with a few scattered blue spots where blue plants grew from green. Soil, his theory holds then, a grid of soil grows plants of its own grade. With a chance of growing one grade higher, seriously, a place like this lake is exactly what survivors should hunt for, since that carpet of green soil lets anyone who reaches it easily avoid the dreaded short, small treehouse. Just the name of that thing radiates insecurity. He searches a while longer for more blue soil, finds none, and stops wasting time. He returns to that first bush. Harvesting all 32 large red berries, he hesitates because he wants to keep the bush but can't. The patch is only about a square meter, half of it bare. So instead of uprooting the bush, he digs a hole beside it and plants the seed. The voice confirms the planting, with 2 hours of growth remaining. Then it immediately adds that the wild plants in the soil have been automatically cleared. That first alert lights him up, but the second deflates him instantly, as he suspected one patch grows only one type of plant, the large red berry bush. Vanishes without a trace, and a sprout pokes through, shooting upward at a speed he can literally watch, growing into a sapling in under a minute. Truly miraculous, since he is a man of action. Instead of watching it grow, he goes to check the few blue plants he never examined. There are 3. First is the large red berry, a renewable blue food whose berries regrow after picking, granting 2 hours of night vision per fruit, though the effect is temporary. Second is a high-quality blue-grade mushroom. This edible fungus tastes absolutely incredible and permanently raises his intelligence by a tiny amount, but unlike the berry, it is not renewable, and any mushroom replanted in ordinary soil will lose its blue grade. The third is an advanced blue-grade poplar tree, a material resource that yields advanced wood when felled. It is non-renewable and likely scarce. The surrounding trees show up as medium green-grade poplars. Still a level above the white poplar he first saw. 3 plants. 3 different functions. Now he understands how this world sorts its items. He leaves the red berries since he already has 32 and does not know how long they stay fresh, but the high-quality mushrooms he picks clean. The whole patch of over 20 is entirely blue. Each tiny boost should add up over 20 of them. One patch grows only one treehouse, but over 20 mushrooms mutated to blue at once, so the capacity a patch supports depends on the plant type. The advanced poplar tree he leaves standing, having no way to harvest it yet. The green red berries and apples he ate had no special effects, only blue and higher tiers carry functions, with green resources blanketing the lakeside. There is too much to bother cataloging. He grabs a few apples and heads back to the seed, munching one on the way. By now, more than half the growth time has passed, and the seed has become a towering tree. Is that a banyan? He stares up at the massive thing. Its branches are so lush it is hard to believe. Banyans have always been called a single tree, forming a forest because their canopies cover enormous ground. Back home, a century-old tree could shade over 1,000 square meters by itself. This one is not done growing, but its canopy already spreads over 100 square meters. As he watches, it thickens until sunlight can no longer pierce it, the crown turning into a giant opaque ball of green. In his vision, it begins to glow faintly purple. The system description names it a tall, small treehouse of purple grade from a banyan tree. High-end product with a lineage other treehouses cannot match. It adds that anyone who obtains one is either incredibly lucky or a cheater, and asks which he is. Well, he is a cheater, obviously. He switches off item identification since his whole field of view has become a riot of color. Basically, light pollution. Planting a seed of unknown level in blue fertile soil produced a purple treehouse, which must be the seed's nature, using whatever soil it gets to grow the highest grade treehouse that soil can support. So by that logic, white soil yields a green, short, small treehouse, and green soil a blue, small treehouse. The system voice announces the growth is complete and the treehouse is ready for occupancy. The dense canopy seals out every ray of sunlight. and from the outside, it looks like nothing more than a breathtakingly massive banyan. Talk about perfect camouflage, but now he has one problem: the tree stands about 20 meters tall, the height of a 7-story building, and even the bottom of the canopy hangs around 10 meters up, level with a 4th-story window. How is he supposed to get up there? He glances at the aerial roots draping down like willow branches, wondering if he is meant to climb, but his body has no such strength. He takes hold of a root anyway, and the instant he touches it, a wave of familiarity floods through him, as if this enormous banyan were part of his own body. Almost on instinct, he makes the roots coil around his waist and haul him up fast 10 meters into the air. Just as his head is about to smack the underside of the canopy, an aperture opens, and he slips clean through into the interior. That was way too close. He stands there rattled, sure he was about to crash skull first into the wall. Once his nerves finally settle, he looks around, realizing the inside is nothing like he imagined. Instead of a messy dome of leaves, the floor and walls are clean wooden planks patterned with tree rings. The room is over 100 square meters, just like the canopy, and totally empty. He stands dead center, right over a disc-shaped pattern that seems to act as the entrance. Several windows on the side let in plenty of light. When he walks over to one, he finds that although the outside is wrapped in dense leaves, he can somehow see the scenery beyond. It must work one way, letting him look out, but hiding him inside. The floor is about 3 meters high, and off to the side, a wooden staircase shows that the treehouse has more than one floor. He climbs up. There are 3 floors in total. The second level is empty, just like the first, featuring only windows and a circular wall pattern identical to the disc on the ground, which he figures acts as an entrance and exit, so he keeps climbing. The third floor is on another level. The moment he steps onto it, his eyes lock onto a massive screen embedded directly in the wall, at least 100 inches across. Why is this suddenly so high-tech? An advanced treehouse comes with a television out here where there could not possibly be a signal. Well, common sense does not apply to this world, so he takes a step closer. The screen is not hung but set deep into the wood. The frame is nothing but the grain of the tree itself, tree rings and all, and when he touches it, the glass is as smooth as a real monitor, yet he finds no power switch anywhere. On the floor beside it sits a cardboard box holding 5 bottles of water and 5 bags of bread, clearly a starter benefit, which he cannot burn through carelessly since they keep a long time and could serve as emergency rations. Right then, the screen lights up on its own, announcing that the mainframe is booting up and listing available functions like basic material crafting and the area channel. Countless options crowd the screen, but only those 2 are lit. The rest are grayed out like the losing squares on an unscratched supermarket card. He taps basic material crafting, and sure enough, the treehouse can make simple tools and basic furniture. First, a white-grade stone axe that can fell trees of green grade and below, 200 durability, needing 5 white branches or wood and 5 white stone blocks. Next, a white-grade stone pickaxe mines stone or ore of green grade and below, same durability and cost. Finally, a stone shovel of white grade digs soil of green grade and below, with a very small chance to recover the seed of whatever plant grew there at the same durability and cost. Then comes an item that makes him feel like the game is finally beginning: a synthesis bench of green grade for advanced tools, requiring 50 green wood and 50 green pebbles or stone blocks. He found it at last, beside this massive lake that might have given him a massive headache, but now green wood is everywhere and pebbles fill the stream, so it will be quite easy. First, though, he needs to gather branches and stone blocks for the basic stone tools. He does not rush down, exiting basic material crafting to open the area channel instead, feeling quite nervous since that name should mean exactly what he thinks. The introduction instantly brings a grin to his face, explaining that the channel allows chat and resource trading with survivors in the same area, naming his location as Jungle Area 188 and giving the population as 9,998, with functions launching soon. On the final day of the newbie protection period arrived with a strict warning: abandon the treehouse and face the consequences. Tomorrow was his final day. 2 days alone in this empty jungle had stretched his sanity. Then a breakthrough: finding a communication platform instantly put him at ease, because staying isolated in the wild is a fast track to depression. But first he had stone tools to craft, the raw materials. White branches and stone blocks were everywhere, but how to get down? He spotted a circular pattern on the wall, pressing his hand directly to it. That familiar sensation returned, his body stepping forward almost on its own. The wall rippled like soft clay. He stepped right through into the canopy, and a thick root caught his waist, gently lowering him to the ground. Truly amazing. Gripping the root again, the layout of all 3 floors appeared. Clearly in his mind, just thinking second floor, the root coiled right around him, carrying him straight there. He could access any floor he wanted. The ride was incredibly smooth, honestly, pretty tempting to try again. But business first, he had to focus since the protection period was short. He needed to gather everything possible before trading officially opened tomorrow. He started scavenging, thanks to his discernment ability. The graded items glowed clearly, though not everything possessed a rank. The branches he needed only rated as white if they were thick and freshly fallen. Twigs counted for nothing, same with stones, but his real problem remained. He had no backpack, meaning carrying depended entirely on his hands. With nothing like a bag in basic crafting, it had to be a more advanced item. Having no choice, he stuffed stone blocks into his pockets and tucked branches under his arms, gathering 15 of each. Before taking the root back up, he opened his basic crafting menu and selected the stone axe. Instantly, the materials floated up out of the pile, forming a familiar sphere of light. Without hesitating, he reached straight in. The light dissolved, and a crude stone axe dropped into his hand. It was blunt and incredibly ugly. Would this even cut a tree? Using the same method, he crafted a stone pickaxe and a shovel. While working, a very special workbench caught his eye in the corner. It was a primary identification bench of white grade. If placed on it, items would glow with their grade color after 10 seconds, so even without his special discernment, other survivors could identify their loot. The catch: it was as large as a dining table, impossible to carry outside, so everyone else had to drag their heavy haul back home just to identify anything. But he was completely different. He saw grades instantly at a glance, allowing him to pick selectively in the wild. That gap in efficiency was absolutely massive. He could easily spot the blue glow of hidden mushrooms from afar, while other survivors might never find them at all. Besides, the smartest move for others was avoiding wild mushrooms entirely, since even experienced gatherers got poisoned, but none of that applied to him. Having this unique creator authority was truly a magnificent advantage. Of course, others might have special abilities too, but that seemed highly unlikely. Survivors at all, but rather just tourists. Grabbing his stone axe, he heads out. This time he needs 50 units of greenwood, and green poplar trees stand everywhere. He decides to start clearing right beneath his treehouse because the canopy shades those trees so they cannot catch sun, and more importantly, something could climb one of them and slip through a window, so it is better to have no trees around the trunk at all. The blunt-looking edge bites in cleanly. A white poplar takes 5 swings, a green 110. Each felled tree breaks into 4 or 5 sections as it lands. For most people, 50 greenwood would take real time to accumulate, but for him it is far too easy, though. Without a backpack, each heavy length has to ride up trip by trip. By the time he finally has his 50 units, the sky has turned sunset colors. A whole afternoon is gone. He slumps onto the 3rd floor, exhausted and griping that this efficiency is terrible. He carried up plenty of white wood, too, while clearing, wanting to use it for furniture since the treehouse is far too empty to keep sitting and sleeping on the floor. He crafts a table, chair, and bed in white wood and soon has his first batch. The wooden table of white grade can barely hold a few items and breaks under anything heavy. The wooden chair of white grade warns that anyone over 90 kilograms should just use it as wooden bed of white grade says its only difference from the ground is the creaking that ruins any chance of sleep, and sure enough, when he sits on it, the frame creaks enough to set his teeth on edge. Crude, but there is no help for it, and he is not in the habit of sleeping on bare floor where some critter might crawl onto him. He gnaws an apple for dinner. The lake has fish and shrimp, but he cannot catch them, and he cannot make fire either since drilling wood is hopeless for a novice, so he saves his energy and hoards the sealed water and bread, which keep a long time. The synthesis bench should be able to make a campfire or fireplace, so he decides to prioritize it, and with the protection period still on and no dangerous animals around, this is the perfect window to gather materials. The sky is fully dark now, so he eats a large red berry, the blue one that grants 2 hours of night vision, and a cool sensation spreads Round his eyes, the surroundings outside the window snapping clear as daytime. He has not finished clearing beneath the treehouse, but tonight he wants to find green pebbles or stone blocks for the synthesis bench. He moves along the stream, scooping pebbles since he has seen no large green stones, and the pickaxe has been useless, and when his pockets fill, he knots his short-sleeved shirt into a makeshift bag again, and honestly, that starter shirt is of surprisingly good quality since it does not tear no matter how he abuses it. Soon, he reaches the Black Bear Cave, where he slept the first night, set on looking inside properly this time. It reads as a black bear cave of green grade. The bear is gone after a mysterious force made it vanish. He finds nothing of value at a glance, which disappoints him. Since this is a green grade cave, so why is it empty? Could it be? He raises his pickaxe and strikes a protruding rock to test the idea, and he feels that gathering sensation, the same pull as harvesting a resource. Overjoyed, he swings 10 times, until the whole protrusion shatters across the floor. The piece is red as a stone block of green grade rock from inside a cave, harder than ordinary stones. Now he has a reliable source for greenstone blocks. The only problem is the distance from his treehouse, plus the black bear returns after protection ends. So he needs to gather everything he can right now. He still cannot find the source of that creepy wailing wind from the first night, so he leaves it. Once he grabs 50 stones, he heads straight back home. He desperately needs a backpack because even 50 pebble-sized stones are a massive pain to carry. Back inside his treehouse, he builds the primary synthesis bench. It is finished instantly. The system asks where to place it, and he sets it in a corner of the third floor near the main screen. Proper planning can wait. The bench thuds heavily into place, a sturdy stone and wood workstation with a spectral screen hovering above it. Seriously, how is this tech so advanced? The first item on the crafting list is a massive surprise, a green-grade backpack with 10 slots that slashes item weight down to just 1/5. It requires 1 green beast hide and 3 white ropes. This is incredibly useful since cutting weight by 80% means he can carry 5 times his normal load, and this is just a green tier bag. But how? He still needs beast hide and rope during the safe period, meaning 0 wild beasts around. The only active fauna are fish, shrimp, and insects, not even a single rabbit. Predators only arrive once protection ends. For the rope, he remembers the reeds by the lake and plans to check them. He keeps scrolling. A basic torch lets him travel at night with a narrow view, warning that starting a forest fire will get him locked up. It needs 1 wood and 1 charcoal or coal block. Next, a green-grade grill burns wood automatically and cooks anything. It requires 3 green iron blocks. Primary green tier furnace also burns wood independently and promises surprises. During smelting, it requires 100 green pebbles or stone blocks. Green-grade fireplace mounts directly on the wall, absorbing smoke and toxic gases. The system warns he could easily freeze to death in winter without it. It also costs 100 green pebbles. He rubs his chin, considering his options. His night vision berries easily beat a basic torch, but torches offer mobile warmth and scare off wild beasts, so he should definitely craft a few. Based on gaming experience, charcoal should smelt from basic wood, while coal is not an issue. The grill is great, but he has absolutely 0 iron. Luckily, once trading opens up, there will surely be people selling plenty of iron ore. He does not need a fireplace in the peak of summer, but wait, most survivors will not manage to craft a synthesis bench this early in the game. Since green materials are incredibly scarce, an early winter could easily prove fatal. For many of them, checking the system screen, it is already past 11 at night. The third day is almost here, with the area channel counting down 6 hours and 53 minutes until the morning launch. He collapses onto his creaky bed, completely exhausted, and drifts off immediately. A loud notification suddenly wakes him. The area channel is open. Region Jungle 188. Current population 9,997. The message declares he is no longer alone, giving one final warning never to abandon his personal treehouse. Finally, it invites him to survive together with the others. Still groggy from waking up, he springs out of bed. Since his bed sits directly beside the terminal screen, he taps. He opens the regional channel directly. 2 options appear, the chat hall and the trading platform. Exactly as expected, he opens the chat hall only to find it completely silent. Suddenly, a single message asks if anyone is actually there. Instantly, the room explodes. People scream that they're Really is someone, they found another soul, they cannot believe these past 2 days. Others ask if everyone is in a treehouse starting with a seed. The replies flood back, same here. Me too. One marvels at the advanced holographic screen, while another desperately begs to know how to log out. He did not even save his game, having fallen asleep at his desk. He cannot help but crack a faint smile. Some use names, others choose anonymous. He clicks the chat box and realizes it uses voice input. The system asks if he wants to hide his identity. He selects yes. Time to watch first. He tries calling his parents and friends by name. Nothing, no answer. The attempt only triggers a desperate wave of people searching for family. Someone yells for a Jang nearby. Another shouts that Alisa is wanted home for dinner. A woman begs a man named Wango to contact her. Endless screaming, almost zero replies. The few responses that come are just matching names. Talk about a brutal reality check. He asks the group how old everyone is. Slowly, the answers trickle. In a recent college graduate, an 18-year-old freshman, a junior. One guy laments that everyone is so young, while he is already 29. Another jokes about being 28 and single since birth, asking for women, which gets him scolded for being a pervert during a literal crisis, but he cheerfully replies that women are an absolute necessity. The youngest is 18, the oldest 30. Our main character graduated college less than a year ago himself. After failing his postgraduate exam, he studied another year, determined. Finally getting accepted into his dream program, he was just waiting happily for the semester to start, only to wake up in this brutal place. He mutters that everyone seems to be between 18 and 30, since his voice input remained active. His words broadcast immediately. The chat agrees instantly. One bitter newbie wonders if this is some cosmic punishment for not gaming before becoming an adult. Another laments that his 31st birthday was yesterday, meaning 2 days earlier he would have escaped this draft entirely. He starts to understand the demographic pattern of these survivors. They are 18 to 30 from across the country, all healthy. The few approaching 30 are either unmarried or childless. This game is highly selective, choosing people whose sudden disappearance would not disrupt too many other lives. Parents not yet elderly, no small kids depending on them. Honestly, wouldn't you feel relieved hearing that? He lets out a massive sigh of relief. He was terrified for his family. Fortunately, they seem safe for now. Of course, it is just a theory. Perhaps this age group is simply the strongest. Suddenly, the talk turns to survival. One player admits he has hid inside his treehouse for 2 days, too scared to step outside, almost out of food. Another mocks him. Anyone too terrified to move during the safe protection period is finished. As players head out to gather resources, the chatter slows. Since his own efficiency is incredibly high, he is in no eating an apple in a rush. Suzin asks where everyone planted their seeds. The replies are scarce. One man admits to planting randomly after searching for hours. Another brags about finding a creek, prompting a desperate crowd to beg him for water. Their 5 starter bottles are running dry. Still, those who found water are lucky. None of them found a rich, fertile jackpot like Suzin did. Someone asks if everyone got a small treehouse as their base. A player replies that unlocking any shelter during this newbie phase is a major win. Another complains theirs is under 20 square meters, basically the size of a bedroom. Even without his discernment skill, other players can at least see basic item names. Suddenly, a peculiar message stops him cold as someone wonders out loud to themselves. They ask if a short, small treehouse is different from a regular small treehouse. That user forgot to hide their real name, revealing it as Li Wenxi. While her post gets buried quickly, it proves to him that incredibly lucky survivors exist. Yet finding fertile soil remains an exceptionally rare stroke of pure fortune. Out of 10,000 players, doing so requires being the universe's absolute favorite child. Unless they share his identification powers, he decides to exit and check the market. The trading hub is already flooded with deals, like offering 20 white wood, all for a single bottle of water, or trading 10 white stones for food. It is practically useless, since basic resources are scattered all over the forest floor. No rational person would trade their scarce food anyway. He is about to exit. Just before closing the window, a surprising offer of green iron ore catches his eye. They want blue materials. Talk about a rare find. His eyes immediately light up. Iron ore is exactly what he needs to smelt green blocks for his grill. Since this seller is asking for blue-tier goods, it means something massive. They either crafted an identification table or somehow verified item grades early. Otherwise, they would not even know blue-tier items existed. He glances at the username. He freezes when he sees it as Lei Wenxi, the treehouse poster. Seriously, talk about unreal luck. She has a treehouse, blue materials, and rare iron ore. Could she be sitting in a resource-rich gold mine just like him? He shoots her a DM. He asks if she has iron, and she quickly confirms she does, demanding blue materials. After she confirms she possesses some blue-grade loot, he pitches a direct offer. He offers red berries that grant 2 hours of night vision, asking if she is interested. Her reply is an instant yes, and she immediately asks how much iron ore he wants. He proposes a long-term partnership, but first asks what her blue material actually does. She answers bluntly, likely realizing he must have his own blue-grade items to offer. She sends the description outright, revealing a blue stone that dramatically boosts tool crafting. Just adding one to a tool blueprint massively increases its overall gathering efficiency. He blurts out his excitement. A standard stone axe requires 10 swings to fell trees. Since tools have only 200 durability, high efficiency saves them from breaking. That saves material, not just speed, but since his voice input is active, his voice goes straight to her, leaving him deeply embarrassed as he waits for her reaction. She replies with a long string of dots. Shaking it off, he gets to business. He asks to buy 3 of them, but she sharply counters that it depends on his offer. She is incredibly sharp. He makes the first move, suggesting she has plenty of green stones. He proposes trading 50 logs of green wood to help her build her new treehouse. He offers to craft her a synthesis bench for 3 blue stones. She considers this. She counters, asking for 60 wood plus his red berries, valuing 1 blue stone at 20 wood. He is still making a profit. Since he already has plenty of wood, he hates chopping more. So he agrees, but insists that the berries be traded for iron ore at her price. That is 20 per berry. Deal, she says, and immediately sends over the trade request. She wants 3 blue stones for 60 green wood. Is she always this decisive? He cancels. He explains that he has not chopped that much wood yet, suggesting they swap berries first. After a brief pause, she asks for 3. He trades 3 large red berries right away. He swaps them for 60 iron ore. She accepts, then offers 1 blue stone for nothing. It is listed for free. He is confused until she explains she is sending it ahead. That way he can make his new axe, start chopping, and deliver the rest when done. Kind of crazy how easily she trusts a total stranger in this brutal world. Still, she likely has a massive stockpile of blue stones to front one so casually. He accepts the trade and immediately crafts the new axe, upgraded to green grade. It can chop blue trees and below, boasting 200 durability and extra sharpness. She has strategic resources, so he definitely needs to stay on her good side. Yes, keeping things friendly with Lehigh is key. Now, it is time to use that axe. He targets the advanced blue poplar tree he found. Meanwhile, across the channel in a treehouse slightly smaller than his, a short-haired girl rolls a red berry in her hand. Her tall, athletic frame and toned arms suggest that she works out quite often. Blue-grade items really do carry extra abilities, she murmurs, confirming its night vision. Her treehouse features 2 floors, each spanning roughly 50 square meters. She walks downstairs to glance at the stones and iron ore piled on the floor. This was her massive haul from mining hard after realizing the trade platform opened today. The intense labor completely drained her energy. Fortunately, her treehouse sits near the mine. Even with her above-average fitness, her limbs ache and her legs tremble. She plans to rest today and trade her hard-earned haul for essential supplies. This anonymous guy seems highly capable, already building a synthesis bench, she sighs. She spent half a day chopping yesterday and found nothing but basic white wood. Since he lacks iron ore, they can easily cooperate. She set up her base right next to a mine and stream because those resources were enough to survive. There was no point wandering aimlessly. She wonders if her 2-story home outclasses everyone else. Others only have tiny treehouses. After all, she is just a college sophomore. She was never prepared for survival, and none of this feels real yet. Still, the thought gives her a tiny thrill. Maybe her house really is superior. So far, only he has asked about her iron ore, which makes perfect sense. Most survivors have not built a synthesis bench and cannot process raw minerals yet. This makes iron ore useless to them for now, if this mysterious trader turns out to be trustworthy. Sharing a few rare blue iron ores might help. Nearby on her identification bench, a unique ore glows with a soft blue light. Her blue stones allow her tools to gather premium resources others cannot touch. This piece is identified as blue-grade iron ore, requiring only a single chunk. During smelting to refine an advanced blue iron block, just then his message arrives. She wonders why the guy is back so soon, just a few minutes earlier. He had taken the green axe beneath his treehouse, finding half the area. It's still unclear, but those poplar trees share white and green wood, the first white. Poplar snapped on the very first blow, crashing down in 5 clean pieces, the same. Tree that took 5 hits earlier, while a green poplar fell on the second swing. Talk about a major upgrade, this is 5 times more efficient, one axe doing the work of 5. It is the real power of blue-tier material, way more useful than any red berry. Like a war god, he sweeps through, felling every remaining tree right at the trunk. The ground is buried under white and green wood, with no transport needed. He just grabs it, letting the treehouse haul him up. He stacks it on the first floor and opens a trade with Lee Manhwa, 60 green wood for 2 blue stones. It goes right through. It's proof that trading works from anywhere, provided the materials are inside the treehouse. Now those 2 blue stones are safely in his hands, without a second thought, he crafts a brand new stone pickaxe with a blue stone block. He plans to gather more green stone today, before that black bear mine closes. To him, once the protection period ends and the bear returns, just then Lee Manhwa messages, asking how he collected it all so fast, and if he's surrounded by lush green trees. He glances at the lakeside forest stretching 1,000 meters. Out, the trees he cut are barely a fraction of it, so he tells her yes, he's not short on wood. Then she asks if he also has a lot of food. Instead of answering directly, he asks what she's really getting at. A voice chat request suddenly comes through, which startles him. Realizing voice chat is a thing, he hesitates before accepting. A pleasant girl's voice asks twice if he can hear her. A social butterfly, pretty nice. Her bright energy lifts his spirits, so he tells her he can hear, then guesses she wants to cooperate. She compliments his nice voice, which nearly makes him laugh since her texts had been so short. She used to answer everything with a single grunt. She confirms that she wants to cooperate, then goes on and asks again if he has plenty of food, enough for him to eat. He tells her never, mentioning the fruit trees, the lake full of fish and shrimp, or the apple trees. Everywhere. In reality, he could feed an entire group without any trouble. Good, she says, and explains that she has plenty of green stone and ore, but only white trees. Judging by his situation, she figures he is probably short on stone. So she proposes trading her stone for his wood. Then why did you ask about food, he asks. She admits she was afraid he would run short and try to swindle her since she barely has enough for herself. Then she asks flatly, one word. Are they cooperating or not? This girl is direct, and he remembers that blue stone she lent him. He asks if she really trusts someone she just met. What does trust have to do with anything, she says. What could he even do to her? She already has the item, and the trading system prevents scams. In the worst case, she just trades with someone else. Her logic makes total sense, even if it's blunt. He doesn't mind, because he really likes her straightforward, no-nonsense attitude. So he tells her he has absolutely no problem with the deal, but worries she won't have enough stone. She fires back, asking if he's kidding since she's next to a mine, then instantly catches herself, accusing him of fishing for information, even if he knew it's not like he could fly over. He points out, this girl really is quite interesting, and knowing she is smart reassures him. Resources truly are abundant. That is true, she agrees, her face flushing on the screen. Then she suddenly admits she still does not know his name. He tells her Seio Shin, a good name, she says, before asking his age. He answers that he just graduated from college. Oh. She is only a sophomore, making him the older one. Getting familiar fast, she asks if he has any wood left because she wants more. He begins reminding her he just gave it all away, but she cuts him off, telling him to wait before hanging up. While Seio Shin is still left wondering, a notification chimes. Lee Moon has initiated a video call, revealing they can even connect screens. It is a bold move. With a stranger, but face-to-face cooperation always feels much more realistic. Once connected, she will see his face, what is behind him, and that his massive treehouse proves he is incredibly strong. But so what? None of this needs hiding. She cannot crawl through the screen to raid him, and showing strength could give him the upper hand in trades. Real caution does not mean hiding everything, because that is just cowardice, not caution. If she is not afraid, why should So Seio Shin accepts. Her image appears immediately, showing delicate features. Almond eyes and short chin-length hair full of life. Instantly, her eyes light up. And she tells Seio Shin he is actually quite handsome, which is a total given. Otherwise, he wouldn't have started videoing. He tells her she looks pretty good too, boasting she looks great even without makeup while proudly puffing out her chest, genuinely. Cute though her chest is rather impressive, he tells her so, making her protest. She claims she just wanted to show him something, but then her almond eyes go wide as she stares past him at his vast empty room, demanding to know why his treehouse is so huge. Seio Shin flashes a faint smile, admitting he does not know either. It was this large when it grew, teasingly adding that her place feels rather small in comparison. She immediately deflates, having started this call specifically to show off her own treehouse and smooth the trade. After all, the chat logs say everyone else only has a tiny shelter of about 20 square meters. She proudly insists her treehouse has 2 floors. That is really nice, Seio Shin replies. She beams, only for him to mention he has 3. Her face cycles through several expressions at once, and Seio Shin cannot hold back a laugh while her cheeks slowly redden. He reins it in, asking what she wanted to show him. Flustered now, she hesitates, looks around and picks up some iron ore. Holding it up to the screen, even through the display, Seio Shin sees the blue light radiating off it, and she shares the description. It is blue-grade iron ore, requiring only a single piece to refine a blue iron block. He remarks that she even has blue iron ore, his eyes lighting up. Knowing the effects of blue stone, he can easily guess what a blue iron block can do, a truly rare and valuable item. She smiles, telling him not to worry about ore, but she quickly loses her focus, bursting out again over how massive his treehouse is, staring enviously around his spacious room. It would not hurt to share a little. This is a purple-grade treehouse, Seio Shin explains. With a smile, purple-grade, she stammers in disbelief, realizing purple sits above blue. She looks at him with sheer envy, complaining that his luck is just too good, she thought. Her own fortune was decent, but it cannot compare to his. She never guesses that his unbelievable advantages actually stem from the fertility of his soil, aside from that single hint on the seed package about finding fertile ground. She knows absolutely nothing, and she can never identify which patch of soil is actually fertile. Seio Shin decides Lee Moon seems pleasant enough and is shaping up to be an excellent long-term trade partner, so Seio decided to share some information, telling her to dig the dirt around her treehouse. She should place it on the discernment bench and check its grade. He explained that the soil had different grades, even if they could not read the names yet. Hearing this, she jumped off her bed and leaned eagerly toward the screen. She caught herself and sat back, quickly asking what exactly he had figured out. So Seio walked her through the patterns he had pieced together about the soil. The more she listened, the more amazed she became, completely hooked on his words. She stared at him like he was a genius, calling him Big Shot Seio in pure admiration. She gushed over how amazing he was, but he kept it cool, calling it a mere guess. He asked why she did not test it, and she flopped back onto her bed. She pointed out he had no reason to lie, especially with no high-grade plants around. Even if he was wrong, checking it would not cost her a single thing. Still, she had not expected him to see so much, teasing that he must have some special skill. Her eyes locked onto his. Honestly, she had no idea how close she was. Seio laughed and joked that she guessed it. He actually held the creator authority of this world. He claimed he could rewrite reality however he pleased, but she just rolled her eyes. She accused him of bragging way too hard, though he knew it was technically half true. His creator authority had failed to activate repeatedly, leaving him with only a tiny fraction of power. Even so, it was still called creator authority, and he was not going to correct her. Seio checked the time, stood up, and told her that they had to get to work. He set his stone pickaxe aside, knowing it was time to make a brand new tool. He wanted an upgraded stone shovel first since the tree was down, but the stump remained. Plus, he remembered that using a shovel had a solid chance of turning up rare seeds. Lee Moon groaned, complaining that her entire body ached from hauling stones all day yesterday. She really did not want to work and was getting quite hooked on chatting with him. For the past 2 days, she had been completely alone with nothing to do but mine. Now that she found a good-looking guy to talk to, she did not want to hang up. But Seio reminded her that today was the absolute last day of newbie protection. Nobody knew what tomorrow would throw at them, so she needed to gather more stones. He told her to drag back as many materials as she possibly could. Lee Moon sighed but finally agreed, aching body or not, she would get to work. She realized she was far ahead of others who had not even begun trading iron ore yet. Their chat had drained off her stress, and she was not one to slack off. Reluctantly, she suggested they swap more information tonight, and Seio quickly agreed before hanging up. He picked up a blue-grade stone and crafted a stone shovel right on the spot. The system panel showed it was an improved stone shovel of green grade. It could dig up blue-grade soil and had a 50% chance of pulling seeds. With a solid durability of 200, his odds just got a whole lot better. Now that is a real upgrade. Seio grabbed his tools and got straight to work. The improved stone shovel pried the stubborn tree stump out in a single clean stroke. The system panel flashed, rewarding him with ordinary green soil, green wood, and a seed. The massive stump instantly turned into wood, giving him a bonus poplar tree seed. He carefully dug the seed out of the dirt to inspect its details. Learning what this mysterious seed could grow into was his next big step. As he inspected the item description, his eyes went wide with sudden shock. These seeds can grow a harvestable poplar tree in just 10 days, but aren't. Poplar seeds usually just the fluffy white stuff floating around in spring, whatever. Not his problem to solve, he turned the seed over like the treehouse seed it carried no grade, and even his discernment ability could not read its color. He figured the grown tree's grade depended entirely on the soils. Fertility, the dugout land left a pit, so he filled it and kept going. Soon, he collected over 20 poplar tree seeds and 40 pieces of wood, but he did not replant them in the same spots. Instead, he flattened the entire patch under the treehouse into clear ground for future facilities or low crops, no more trees right under his home. He carried the wood up first, then spent half a day chopping trees elsewhere and planting fresh seeds in every gap he cut. Talk about sustainable development. By the time the sun peaked, it was noon on day 3. He looked at the wood piled across the first floor and nodded, wiping off the sweat. He decided to eat first, then explore the uncharted areas in the afternoon, since that final half-day of protection could not go to waste. First came a bath, his body sticky and miserable. After washing in the lake, he scrubbed his clothes too. At high summer noon, he hung them by the window to dry. In 10 minutes, sunlight filtering through the dense banyan leaves like they were glass. He ate some fruit and tore open a bag of bread for energy. As he chewed, he scrolled through the chat hall. The feed was pure misery. People were dying of thirst and begging for water. Someone cursed this place as a hellhole filled with nothing but trees. Others snapped that streams were everywhere and asked if they had forgotten how to walk. Others could not risk wandering far for fear of losing their treehouses, so they pleaded with anyone near a stream to share, arguing water was worthless anyway. Meanwhile, Lee Moonhai and he argued over blue-grade supplies. Half the channel still could not secure basic drinking water, and he had no intention of playing the delivery boy. The crafting list had buckets he could make from white wood, but hauling water up just to trade it away would waste time he would not surrender on this final half-day of safety. Let the do-gooders have their moment. Water seemed scarce, but for any survivor sitting near a source it was limitless, meaning it only traded for cheap white-grade trash anyway. And only a fool hauls water for 2 hours just to get scraps. Suddenly, the treehouse chimed. Lee Moonhai was ringing him with a video call. What was she planning calling him in the middle of the day, since he was not wearing underwear? Accepting was out of the question, so he rejected it on reflex. She quickly sent a text asking why he hung up, saying they could talk whenever they were free. He replied that he was washing his clothes. She sent back a sheepish reply, followed by a persistent voice call request. Well, persistent, fine, he would pick up. The second it connected, she asked why anyone washes clothes at midday. He explained that they dry fast at noon, done right after eating, so they would not slow down his afternoon. She admitted that made sense, mentioning she showered in the evening. He teasingly asked if it was appropriate to discuss showering with a man she just met. She stammered, then waved it off since he could not see her anyway, saying she only called to check. He checked his progress from the morning, counting the wood he cut to trade with her. Calling her up, he asked if she had been slacking off today. Her first floor was already piled with stone, so she was resting. She felt completely exhausted. He told her she still needed to explore a bit. There was no way she could waste their very last safe afternoon. In fact, she complained about not even getting a break in this new world. He asked if she had a death wish, slacking off during the safest window. She finally gave in, promising to wander around and search for useful items. But first, she reminded him to search his own area so they could trade. Without his appraisal skill, she would be wandering completely blind. Instead, she would have to rely on pure instinct and identify items later. The call ended, his clothes had finally dried, so he threw them back on. After a short 30-minute rest, he climbed down and headed out. He chose the exact opposite direction from where he had first arrived. Then he stops dead in his tracks, and you wouldn't believe what he spots. But with his unique appraisal vision, the dividing line was incredibly clear. Inside his zone, everything was lush. Outside was a completely barren wasteland. Just endless patches of pale white with barely any resources in sight. He looked back, estimating he was about 1 kilometer away from the lake. At this point, he could no longer spot the green glow radiating from the water. Staring at the empty expanse, he decided against leaving this rich zone. Crossing that wasteland meant wasting precious time searching through absolute junk. It was much smarter to stay put. After all, he had only explored the lakeshore. So it was time to systematically comb through his entire resource area now. He spent all afternoon searching, and the zone definitely lived up to its name. That search led him straight to a rare blue-grade orange tree. Eating one boosted a person's focus for 1 hour without any side effects. It was like a clean adrenaline rush, perfect for escaping tight spots. Blue grade was extremely valuable, so he decided to strip the tree completely bare. He was worried wild beasts might eat them once the safety period ended. Plus, his system panel suggested high-tier food stayed fresh much longer. The large red berry he harvested earlier was still perfect after 2 days of heat. Meanwhile, normal fruits had already rotted. This tree had over 100 oranges. It was impossible to carry them all, and they might spoil if left behind. So he wrapped 30 oranges in his shirt and decided to taste test one. To his surprise, it was easily the sweetest orange he had ever tasted. Suddenly, a wave of cool energy washed over his brain, clearing all his fatigue. His physical body was still completely exhausted, but his mind razor sharp. This fruit was a miracle, like a high-powered energy drink in natural form. Riding that massive burst of energy, he quickly rushed his entire haul back home. He dumped the oranges on his table and ran right back down for more. In fact, his gathering speed during that next hour was absolutely unreal. By the end, his system panel logged green-grade sour dates. He also gathered plenty of green-grade waxberries, perfect for brewing wine later. And finally, a heap of green-grade king oyster mushrooms. Crisp and smooth black fungus, tasty and highly edible, though best cooked first. It was just a basic pile of raw ingredients, which made total sense. He was still safe, no beasts around, plants would have to do. This initial phase was meant for setting up his treehouse, not greedy looting. Expecting high-grade loot was just greedy. Suddenly, his tense spirit began to ease. The adrenaline finally faded after an hour, yet he felt sharper than ever. It felt like waking up from a perfect nap. That orange had no side effects. It restored his mental energy instantly, packing an hour of sleep into seconds. A fruit that could actually replace sleep was suddenly the ultimate survival tool. The standard seed took 10 days to mature, so these would regrow fast. By now, he had mapped out a rough layout of this resource area. It was a neat square, measuring roughly 1 kilometer on each side. That meant 1,000,000 square meters, which was way more than he could harvest alone. Still, one key discovery left him feeling both disappointed and highly relieved. No other survivor treehouses were anywhere nearby. He was completely alone. Suddenly, a familiar blue light flickered through the heavy branches, drawing him over. The system screen identified a blue-grade poplar tree, a rare high-tier find. Chopping it would yield valuable blue wood. Then he noticed the glowing ground. It was fertile soil, glowing with a soft blue light. He was absolutely thrilled. Aside from the starter soil for his treehouse, this was incredibly rare. In fact, it was only the second patch of blue fertile soil he had ever seen. He could finally cultivate blue-grade plants. He quickly chopped down the poplar tree. The harvest yielded 5 pieces of blue wood, and the system panel popped up. This rare wood would massively boost the durability of any wooden tool. Using it on furniture would upgrade its entire rank. Talk about a massive upgrade. No wonder he had only found common recipes for basic white furniture. High-grade materials, that was the missing link. He glanced at his axe. Its durability was already down to half, which made him regret the upgrade cost. Shaking off the regret, he grabbed his shovel and dug into the soil. He successfully gathered a block of blue fertile soil, along with more wood. The harvest also gave him a standard, gradeless poplar seed from the stump. This confirmed his theory. He quickly began moving his heavy haul back. After several trips home, he found a patch of barren dirt nearby. He dug it out completely and packed the hole with his new fertile soil. Looking down at his handiwork, he smiled. This was a massive win. This soil meant a steady supply of blue-grade wood and materials. Now came the tough choice: what should he plant first? Remembering the other high-tier poplar, he headed out to chop it down too. After clearing the stump, he had 12 pieces of blue wood. Then inspiration struck. Planting an apple tree could yield both blue ingredients and blue wood. He didn't have any apple seeds yet, but the forest was packed with them. Plenty of green apple trees grew nearby, meaning he could easily forage for seeds. He had never seen a blue apple. Imagine the kind of insane buffs it might give. The brilliant plan sounded better by the second. He immediately chopped an apple tree. He harvested 5 pieces of green wood, but digging the stump yielded no seeds. The second item gives him an apple tree seed that grows in 5 days and fruits in another 5. He had saved seeds from normal apples before, but with no system prompts. They were ordinary stock, and he had no patience to nurse wild trees. These special seeds had a system bonus. Fruiting in only 10 days, he pushed the apple seed into the blue fertile soil. And it broke the surface so fast he could actually watch it grow. The panel labeled it a blue apple tree seedling, needing 5 more days to become a tree, warning him that until then it was fragile and he shouldn't step on it. Done, grow at your own pace. He carried the rest of the haul inside, stacking wood on the first floor, ingredients on the third floor, then tried trading the barren soil he dug up on the platform, only to find out soil was a privately bound resource that could not be traded. That was a bit disappointing. When he first dug up the blue soil, he had the bright idea of selling green soil since it was everywhere underfoot, but that business door was officially closed. Fine. Time to take stock of his blue supplies instead. The large blue-red berry granted 2 hours of perfect night vision, making the dark as clear as daytime. The blue mushroom permanently boosted his intelligence by a tiny sliver. But it could not be eaten raw, so he would roast his 20 mushrooms later. Permanent boost stacked best. Meanwhile, the blue-orange lifted his spirits without any bad side effects. The blue stone boosted tool efficiency, while blue wood raised durability for premium furniture. He also had the blue iron ore from Leon Heisen, which smelted into blue iron blocks. Every single ingredient buffed him. Every material upgraded his builds, so there was no point wasting precious time. He would craft what the synthesis bench allowed, then called Lee Moonhai. She answered immediately, looking much cleaner now, with a nice fireplace behind her. She smiled happily, asking him if he had finished his hard work. He countered by asking if she was the one who built that fireplace. To his surprise, she had constructed a furnace and a handy grill, too. She complained about having so many materials that she actually burned a few. What a luxurious problem to have. He asked if she saved his share. And she huffed at his doubt, swearing she had tons of extra stone. She had only used a tiny bit and could easily dig more if needed. He had definitely befriended a rich girl. He held blue wood to the camera. She squinted in confusion, prompting him to remember she could not read item grades before identifying them, so he shared the description screen with her. Her eyes went wide. She lunged forward so fast her bed groaned under her. She blurted out that this was a rare blue furniture upgrading material. He confirmed it, mentioning he had plenty of green wood while she sat on a mountain of stone, urging her to trade fast for his crafting. She agreed instantly. He traded 200 green wood for 200 stone blocks. Next, he built a basic furnace and placed it on the second floor. During crafting, he tried slipping in a blue stone block to boost efficiency. But the system rejected it. Honestly, looking back, that was only fair. Expecting a single blue stone to upgrade a massive furnace was wishful thinking. The finished industrial stone furnace stood even taller than he did. Regular wood only burned for 5 minutes, but green wood lasted a whopping 2 hours and 35 minutes. That's 30 times the duration. He immediately dumped 20 of his 60 green iron ores into the top layer. A wave of heat rolled over him. The interior flushed bright red hot. The panel set the smelting time to 2 hours, so he left the furnace and went back up. Back on the call, she was sitting there looking completely dazed on her bed. Seeing him, she smiled and asked if the furnace was ready. He confirmed that it was. She warned him her own basic furnace devoured 5 iron ores for each block. It took half an hour, truly hopeless, but 20 ore for 4 blocks. That was actually quite acceptable. He then asked if she had gone out that afternoon. She had, but not very far, since there were barely any trees nearby, only endless stone. Plus, she couldn't tell the high-grade ore apart, so she just grabbed a few random rocks. Empty-handed and frustrated, she shrugged, looking up at him with puppy-dog eyes. Then she begged him for his blue wood, complaining loudly about her terrible bed. Slapping the mattress, it creaked perfectly on cue. Honestly, he had always planned to sell. Keeping resources flowing was the only way to keep this wealthy mine owner interested. Naturally, he had to ask, how many pieces did she actually want? Her eyes instantly lit up, and she asked if he had a lot. Not really, he lied. Maybe 3 at most. She agreed immediately, offering the same generous rate as before. That meant 60 green resources for 3 blue wood, but looking at the burn times. Green wood had special perks. It was easily worth 30 basic white logs. At 40 to 50 white per green, a single blue resource was worth over 20 green. Trading with Lee Moon at this rate was fine, especially since they had traded before. He had secured blue stone from her at a 20-to-1 rate, but public trades needed real pricing. Since he wasn't short on green resources anyway, he decided to pivot. He asked how much blue iron ore she had left, offering a straight 1-to-1 trade. Offering some extra blue stone, he waited. Decisive as always, she sent the trade. It was 3 blue iron ores and 2 blue stones for 5 pieces of blue wood. Once he accepted the deal, they shared a few quick words and hung up. She was clearly desperate to upgrade her furniture, and honestly, who could blame her? Not wanting to sit idle, he dismantled his broken bed to build a brand new one. To his surprise, the recipe that usually required white wood suddenly changed its defaults. It now asked for 9 green wood and 1 blue. He instantly clicked yes. A bed far more advanced than his old one materialized right in front of him. This blue wooden plank bed released a unique fragrance that could promote deep sleep. It would rapidly recover both his stamina and spirit, making it hard not to oversleep. Sure, it was still a hard plank with no sheets, but that blue-grade rating was incredible. Curiously, the crafting bench list only displayed the basic 10 white wood recipe. Clearly, these were base blueprints, and premium materials simply yielded premium results. Having started with 12 blue wood, he traded 5. Using 1 for the bed left him with 6, which was plenty. With fertile soil turning out blue plants now, there was no need to hoard. He built a high-grade blue chair next, perfectly contoured to support the body. It would slowly recover his stamina and focus, while boosting his overall crafting success rate. Next up was a blue dining table, designed to make food taste much better. It even amplified the beneficial effects of any meal eaten nearby. He couldn't help but grin. Crafting success was useless for now, since none of his recipes could actually fail. But locked blueprint items with real failure chances were coming, and when they did, this blue chair would earn its keep. The dining table surprised him even more, so he pulled out a blue-red berry, the one good for night vision as dusk was. Settling in, wishing to spend the last safe hours getting something done, he sat in the high-backed chair at the dining table, eating a normal apple and 2 normal oranges for dinner, then the large blue-red berry. His eyes brightened and the dimming world outside snapped back into clear view. For 3 hours, his night vision stretched from the usual 2, a full 50% gain. There was faint fullness too. 1 apple and 2 oranges should have barely staved off hunger, yet he felt. The table amplified not just the special effects of blue food, but its plain energy, half again as much out of every meal. This table was a true treasure. After eating, he grabbed his tools and headed straight down to stop wasting time. The first thing he saw below was the apple tree already sprung up into a small sapling. Fast, he wondered whether he should protect it since once the safe period ended, some wild beast might come trample it. After thinking it over, he went up for a fence. From the crafting list, he made a few and ringed the sapling. Then he went back to gathering wood everywhere, chopping until his improved stone axe wore out and completely shattered. Next came the hauling, which was a major pain. For convenience, he first cleared a small path around the treehouse, because he had wandered a good distance. Chopping and dragging it all back was no small job. He could have left the wood where it lay and moved it once he had a backpack, but he worried scattered wood might vanish if left uncollected, just like in some video games. Wild animals would show up tomorrow, so a backpack quickly had to climb up his priority list. Then a sudden rustle came from the deep jungle. After 2 days of nothing but wind and the chirp of insects, the sudden noise startled him, making him whip his head around. Under the red berry night vision, the dark forest was incredibly crisp, and he caught a cluster of low bushes shaking unnaturally. He stopped, set the wood down slowly, keeping one heavy branch as a makeshift weapon. It was not even the second day yet, judging by the dark sky. Even in summer, it was 8 or 9 at night at most, far too early for dangerous land. Animals, could another survivor have stumbled onto his spot? He held his ground and called out, demanding to know who was there. The bushes froze the instant he spoke, which only wound his tension tighter, because it meant something living was definitely hiding in them. He tried again, telling whoever was there to come out since he could see them. The bushes shook once more, and a tiny brown head popped free, showing white markings on its face, white ears twitching with leaves clinging to its fur. He stared at this cute little creature peeking at him with only its head out, completely thrown. Red panda, or maybe a raccoon. It was not afraid of him at all. It wriggled out, padded straight to his feet, hooked its claws into his shorts, and let out a tiny, whimpering cry. He had been so on edge he nearly kicked it, but the creature was not aggressive, and it was painfully cute, so he knelt down and patted its head while it whimpered happily. Up close, he recognized it. Red pandas run brown and adorable, while raccoons are black and white with that classic troublemaker look. And this creature was clearly a red panda. He pulled a large red berry from his pocket and asked if it wanted a bite. The second it saw the fruit, it let out a soft whimper, but did not lunge, only staring up with pitiful, longing eyes. Where had this little guy come from, and had the protection period ended early? It should not have. This was the only animal seen in 3 days. Setting the fruit down, the little creature caught it in both paws and crammed it in, eyes squeezed shut in pure comfort, before turning and vanishing back into the deep jungle. That red panda had to be special. Even the cave bear was pinned by the world's strict rules until it vanished, yet this one roamed free. It made no sense. But the panda was gone. He stopped wondering and hauled the wood. Soon the smelting furnace finished. The iron blocks sat stacked, ready for use, and when he checked, they were cool. A very considerate little machine. He pulled the iron blocks and loaded 4 green iron ore and 1 blue iron ore. 5 green ore made 1 green iron block, while 1 blue ore could push a block to blue quality. A 4-to-1 mix would give him a blue block. Holding the green iron block already made, he hesitated, in no rush for the grill, because he wanted to wait for the blue iron to build a high-grade blue grill instead. Past experience hinted that a blue high-grade grill would carry real benefits. Since he had the right materials, why settle? While the ore smelted, he opened the area chat. It read 9,997. As before, though, he remembered 9,998. The first time he looked, and 10,000 at the start. 3 had already died during the protection period alone. He wondered how. Did they trip over a rock, perhaps, and fall to their deaths during the safest stretch of the whole game? He shook his head. The channel was pretty lively. Someone counted down the few hours left in protection. Another player bragged about an apple tree near their treehouse. Someone else complained that their shelter was too small to fit the wood they had chopped, so they stacked it at the base. Then a more helpful voice pointed out that the identification station could be built outside. There was absolutely no need to cram everything inside. A panicked reply soon admitted their own place was already packed full. Another begged for food, offering green wood, only to get mocked that this was a jungle, not a desert. The last person lamented planting at the spawn point with nothing but popular trees for company. He watched the area channel scroll by. A guy named Jai Choyong was the most active voice, handing out practical survival guides and earning a solid reputation as a major player across the whole chat. One player fretted that the safe period was almost over and their shelter could not craft weapons, asking if they needed a synthesis bench to make them. Another asked if any elite players with a bench would sell gear. Jai Choyong answered that he had built a synthesis bench, but it carried absolutely no weapon blueprints, only advanced tools and basic survival necessities. He raised an eyebrow. Turns out, he was not the only lucky guy to build a synthesis bench demanding 100 green materials. During this initial safe period, these 3 days were meant for novices to establish their treehouses, and local resources were so thin that gathering 100 green materials was Punishing work, even a cheat like him with a discernment skill had to struggle hard. He needed a trade partner to pull together 2 green materials. He had already combed his own crafting blueprints but found no weapons. The closest option was a basic stone axe that did not even require a workbench. He had no clue how it would hold up against the coming danger. His old axe had already shattered, so he used 1 blue stone, 1 blue wood, and green materials to craft his second tool. The panel labeled it a blue fine stone axe, able to fell trees of purple grade and below, proving much sharper and tougher for high-grade harvesting. Components with a durability of 1000, a blue axe that could drop purple trees easily. This tool would last, which raised an intriguing question: would it chop down his own treehouse, especially since its construction was based on a purple tree? He resisted the urge to test it and returned to the channel, under a barrage of desperate replies. Gi Cho Yang was listing everything his workbench could create. Furnaces, torches, grills, and backpacks were all craftable. The crowd shifted instantly into begging mode, demanding they all unite right away. Some even demanded that all survival resources should be distributed equally. He stopped reading right there. Honestly, can you blame him? In this world, moral blackmail was inevitable. With unknown dangers ahead, he had no intention of getting involved. Gi Cho Yang also went silent, plainly done humoring their constant pleading. Half an hour later, he pulled freshly smelted blue iron blocks from the furnace and loaded the rest of his iron ore. The system called them iron blocks with impurities cleared, which would raise any tool's grade exactly like blue wood and blue stone. A decent grill required 3 iron blocks, so he built one using 2 green and 1 blue block. This was the grill he had wanted. For hours, the crafting panel officially named his brand new creation a blue grill, a high-grade model that roasted food perfectly while slightly boosting the ingredients' effects. He fueled it with wood, then laid down the blue shiake and king oyster mushrooms across the heat. Instantly, a wonderfully rich and mouth-watering aroma filled the entire space. As they cooked, the flame went out automatically the second they were fully done. That automatic feature made him smile, remembering his failed backyard barbecues from back home. Without wasting another second, he quickly crafted some simple bowls and chopsticks using cheap white wood, knowing that wasting high-grade blue materials on simple tableware felt too extravagant. Under the grill's special boost, the mushrooms released an incredibly rich and mouth-watering flavor. Even without any salt or seasoning, he ate with pure delight. His first hot meal after 2 whole days of eating fruit. 20-odd mushrooms vanished. He licked his lips, still hungry. The shiake were supposed to permanently raise his base intelligence, boosted even further by the high-grade grill. No difference felt. Perhaps the boost was too small to notice. He had no status screen to check his attributes anyway. No intelligence, stamina, or strength stats, but it really didn't matter. Delicious food was enough. Next, he prepared to go back out with 2 hours left before midnight to gather reeds and lotus roots. Before safety expired, the lake would get dangerous soon. He wanted to catch some fish to grill. Those mushrooms had left him craving more. Since his night vision was still active, he quietly crept down and tiptoed to the lakeside. Under the clear moonlight, the swimming fish were easily. They glowed faintly green, allowing him to pinpoint them easily, but without tools. Catching them without proper gear required insane skill, and after a long, exhausting struggle, he failed. He returned carrying only lotus roots and some reeds. 0 fish caught. Catching fish in this world was truly a high-level technical art. Trade request. She accepted it instantly, eager to help. So he traded 100 green wood blocks for 100 green stone blocks immediately. Requested a video call, but he caught a glimpse of himself first. Drenched with cold water dripping down his forehead, he quickly declined and told her to wait. Acting like a wealthy man, he quickly built a fireplace near the monitor. The room smelled strongly of heavy barbecue smoke, but this new fireplace drew it right out. It absorbed both smoke and toxic gas, plus he needed to dry off. He tossed in some white wood, giving 15 minutes of heat, triple the furnace's rate. Warmth quickly spread through the entire structure, making the air feel nice and cozy. It got slightly muggy, but within 10 minutes, all his wet clothes were dry. The damp smell vanished entirely. He finally called her back for the 4th time. Who knew this little beauty loved video chatting so much? She answered instantly, and he noticed every single piece of furniture in her background had been completely swapped out. They looked completely identical to his own. Before he could speak, she beat him to it. She closely examined his background, asking if he actually made everything himself. She even pointed out his high-grade grill. He asked how she could tell, wondering if she possessed a special ability, but she said his stuff just looked more advanced. She gestured to her own basic model. He asked why she had not crafted the better version. She laughed, admitting she had forgotten and rushed it. She then casually mentioned she had ventured out again that night to haul back ore. She secured plenty of stone, but complained of boredom, wishing the protection would end. Mining was her only activity, and she was not allowed to go very far. The system actually warned her when she crossed the limit. Now that is incredibly suspicious. He straightened up instantly, demanding to know what it said. She explained a voice warned her to stay close to the treehouse or face some unknown, terrible consequence. The tone was stern. He asked roughly how far she traveled, but she had no idea. She only knew the round trip took almost 2 hours, walking at normal speed. She estimated it took almost 2 hours, walking at a slower pace inside the dense forest. This meant their entire range was strictly tethered to the base. He had explored quite a bit himself, but never ventured past 2 kilometers in total. His scanner revealed nothing valuable past that point. He pitied the other players, stuck at the original spawn point, surrounded by nothing but barren land. The system boundary made things even tighter. Suddenly, he remembered the massive black bear cave. He warned her to stay extremely alert tomorrow while harvesting near the entrance. Fierce beasts living in those deep caverns would return once protection vanished. She actually anticipated that exact danger, which was why she kept frantically digging up ore. She held the fresh ore up to her camera, its blue glow striking. She spent the evening crafting, filling her entire floor space with heavy stone. Selling stone would support her for a while, which brought him a sense of relief. She was his sole supplier of blue ore, although he found a cave of his own. It housed a massive black bear. He was far from ready to fight. They chatted a bit more like true partners before he hung up. He moved his chair to the bedside as the night jungle grew colder. Outside, the thick banyan leaves blocked the wind without completely cutting off his view. The canopy swayed and rustled as the gentle wind slowly lulled him toward sleep. His mind drifted. Suddenly, a global announcement declared that all survivors had cleared the novice protection phase and unlocked their tree houses. From now on, this system would no longer protect them, leaving them to fight for survival. Phase 1 had officially begun, unlocking weapon and armor crafting. On this dark, terrifying night, the voice warned that beasts suppressed for 3 days were stirring, and only surviving the tide would grant them a true new life. Only by surviving the beast tide could they earn a true new life. That voice snapped him awake, the mechanical words tightening around his chest. Beasts were stirring, survive the night. Of course, the cruelty arrived the instant. Protection faded. He looked out and saw a massive owl with a wingspan near 2 meters sweep past the canopy with a deafening shriek that almost made him scream. It was easily larger than any bird on Earth. The jungle had stopped being peaceful. Shrill cries and savage roars rose and fell like starved giants. Locked up for days, had finally been unleashed into an arena to feed. Distant wolf howl echoed through the trees, making him tense up. Luckily, his shelter was tall enough that the base sat 10 meters high, with thick leaves fully covering his window. From the outside, his hidden home seemed safe enough for now. He let out a sigh and turned toward the screen, but a massive splash erupted. From the lake nearby, something had surfaced. He spun around, his eyes widening in shock. A colossal python head reared up from the center of the deep water. The patterns across its skin looked like cracked stone, its eyes pitch black under the pale moon. Its body stretched 2 meters thick, and the exposed head alone was 6 or 7 meters long. A true dragon of the deep, its sheer presence sent the lakeside predators fleeing in terror. Suddenly, its cold gaze drifted away from the shoreline and locked onto his treehouse, a dark red tongue flicking out as if sizing up an easy meal. His heart stopped. Shaking, he backed away, quickly ate a night vision berry and crept back to the window. The woods had transformed into a brutal, bloody war zone. Giants fought in the shadows, monstrous birds circled above, and wolf howls sliced through the dark. That lake giant ruled over the center of the carnage. Surviving this night was going to be a lot harder than he first thought. Remembering the newly unlocked crafting options, he rushed back to his control screen to search for blueprints. First up was a basic weapon. A white wooden stick, a crude, blunt club that only worked in strong hands. It had 200 durability and cost 10 pieces of white wood. Next was A white wooden hammer, light enough for anyone to swing but far weaker. That also cost 10 wood with 200 durability. Finally, a white bone knife. For skinning desert beasts to get low-grade materials, costing 5 white stones. Honestly, these weapons were pathetic, compared to the massive beasts outside. These sticks and wooden hammers felt like toys. He turned to the synthesis bench, but found no weapon designs there. Instead, he spotted a new green workbench, designed specifically for crafting and repairing advanced weapons and heavy gear. A bold warning said never to test weapon sharpness on it, or it would break. Needing 50 green wood and 5 green iron blocks for the weapon, he ran downstairs. He grabbed the refined iron blocks to add to the rest, 7 green and 2 blue. He tried using blue wood and a blue iron block first, but the system bench warned advanced materials could not enhance this table. Asking whether he wanted to continue, obviously not, proving advanced materials are not perfect for everything. He canceled the prompt, building it with basic materials instead, and set it beside the synthesis bench. It appeared with a loud bang, making him shoot a nervous glance toward the window, but thankfully the beasts outside did not hear the noise. So he relaxed and got right to work. The main frame was wood mixed with metallic parts and tools, giving it a hard, metallic look, complete with a small illusory screen displaying blueprints. One option was a green wooden bow, range only 30 meters, and weak but deadly on critical hits, durability 205, needing green wood and a tendon. Then a basic white wooden arrow, just a sharpened stick without any fletching to help accuracy, recyclable for 24 white wood. There was also a green stone arrow, featuring a wooden shaft and feathers, a standard precision arrow, recyclable 20 for 2 green stone, 2 white wood, and 2 green feathers. Finally, the green stone spear, the ultimate stone weapon against beasts, boasting a sharp head capable of severe wounding. Durability 200, costing 5 green wood and 2 green stone. He could smelt iron blocks already, but no iron weapons showed on his crafting list. Honestly, what a letdown. There were stone swords, knives, and daggers available, but he went straight for that stone spear. Knives require high strength and skill. Swords and daggers are just toys against fierce wild beasts. A spear, the ultimate battlefield killer, lets even a complete beginner unleash real power. Longer reach means stronger strikes, but each weapon has its place. Swords suit fast targets, while daggers grapple close with beasts like a snake, but with scarce materials, he had to prioritize the spear. He spent 1 blue wood and 1 blue stone, crafting a blue stone spear instead. Durability reached 1000, and its sharp head could pierce tough beast hide with ease. Awesome gear indeed. Better yet, the table can repair weapons, so as long as his spear's durability never hits 0, he can keep fixing it. Holding it, he felt much steadier, prompting him to check armor. He saw only leather, no wood, and no iron, so he was stuck in his basic 2-piece novice clothing, just shorts and a short-sleeve shirt. Fortunately, his body seemed to have fully adapted to this harsh jungle. By now, he was no longer getting scraped raw by every single sharp branch and dangerous shrub. Like on day 1 when he had to use medicinal herbs, it seemed iron gear simply needed to be unlocked first. Spear in hand, he quickly opened up the area chat. It was pure chaos. People were screaming about beasts outside like a tiger clawing at a window or giant birds. Someone snapped that science cannot save anyone in this world, while another player wailed that wolves had completely surrounded his treehouse. He messaged Lee Manhwa to check on her, typing on the touch screen instead of risking his voice. She replied immediately, clearly watching the chat as well, saying all kinds of beasts were prowling around, which was pretty scary but still manageable. Her treehouse was high enough that beasts could not climb up or spot her, assuming his own situation was pretty similar. She also avoided using voice chat to stay completely quiet. He replied that he was safe, but a massive snake kept staring at his treehouse, and things felt off, so he offered to trade wood for some of her iron ore. He didn't need wood right now and asked for red berries instead, so he traded 3 red berries for 60 green iron blocks. The repeat customer rate was 20 to 1. He checked the trading platform, and as expected, there were still no green materials for sale, never mind blue, since most survivors couldn't even protect themselves. He tossed the traded iron blocks into the furnace, which threw heat but no noise, so the beasts outside wouldn't hear. He actually wanted to fire arrows out of the treehouse, since he'd thrown stones down before, and the canopy hadn't blocked them going out, only coming in, which meant arrows would clear it too, but a bow needed animal tendon, which only came off corpses below, leaving him stuck. With only one beast down there, he might gamble on a blue weapon, but with too many roaming, and no telling where one might run from, he wasn't risking his life. Then a black bear and some wolves started fighting below. He watched them tear at each other, weighing whether he could slip down and scavenge a carcass when a prompt sounded. The system was unlocking. Creator authority for the survival world. Again, his breath caught and excitement flared. The last unlock had failed, but still handed him discernment ability, putting him legs ahead from the start. He wondered what this one would bring. It failed on the first attempt, then again, the panel ticking up through a seventh failed try, finally opening partial creator authority for him. Map authority. A map bloomed in his mind, some lit, most still black. The lit parts were everywhere he'd walked, an arc from the spawn point to the river, along the river, and a patch around the lake with the black bear cave, the lake and his treehouse all clearly placed. The whole resource area glowed a hazy green, and across all of it, lit or dark, sat unevenly scattered red dots moving. Were these the beasts? He looked at 5 near his treehouse, one slightly larger, ringed by 4 smaller. Glancing outside, sure enough, a black bear stood surrounded by 4 wolves. Toward the lake center, one red dot blazed like a sun amid a dense swarm of small ones, the giant python. He looked at it and his pupils shrank. It was still flicking its tongue toward his treehouse, its pitch black eyes seeming to meet his. Cold moonlight flashed in them and dread crawled up his spine. Had it really spotted him? If so, he had no chance at all. Before he could finish the thought, it began to move, its bulk hauling out of the water, trailing curtains of water like a waterfall, washing the bloodstains off the bank. With the red berry's vision, he could see countless fish flung into the air, falling back down. Its abyssal crimson maw gaped toward him, tongue flicking big enough to swallow the whole treehouse in one bite. Just as he gritted his teeth, heart slamming, the giant python wheeled and plunged under, its body arching across the surface and rolling like a vast wheel, tail surfacing and sinking until it vanished entirely, leaving only ripples on his mental map. The blazing red dot faded and died while the smaller dots kept swimming the lake center, so he couldn't see it once it dove. That wasn't right. The small dots were still there. Maybe the lake was deep and connected elsewhere, and the python had gone somewhere else through it. He'd thought the center looked very deep the first time he saw it, and that fit, since how else could a beast that size hide and survive in a lake bigger than a reservoir? Whatever the reason, at least it wasn't watching his treehouse. His nerves finally loosened. This ability was crazy powerful, marking enemy positions on his map like X-ray vision. He could even spot red dots in completely unexplored territory, meaning zero fear of ambushes while scouting. He glanced back at his treehouse, noticed one less red dot, and paused. Something clicked. Looking down, he saw a wolf dead under the bear's claws. The others circled, wounded. The bear won, but it paid a heavy price. Its body was torn with deep, bloody gouges, one eye clawed out. A true blind bear now. After a 5-minute standoff, both sides realized they fought for nothing. A wolf howled, and the remaining 3 backed off, then turned and bolted. He checked his map again. With the battle over, no red dots remained near his treehouse, except for that single bear, its back turned, enjoying its hard-won dinner. Honestly, he was tempted. This massive black bear was likely the cave dweller. Bears are solitary, mothers living with cubs until they grow and split off. Usually a cave holds just one adult. If this was indeed that bear, ending it now would erase a major threat. He gripped his spear, ready to gamble, and honestly, this next move was pure madness. He sat directly beneath his canopy, meaning he could use his treehouse trick and drop down from above for a lethal plunge. No sooner thought than done. To sharpen focus, he ate blue-orange, instantly washing away his lingering sleep and heavy fatigue. He inhaled deeply, reaching his free left hand toward the disc serving as a door while tightening his grip on the weapon. Stepping out through the shifting entry with banyan roots secured around his waist, he aimed his spear tip straight down at the feeding predator's skull and began a silent countdown. 3, 2, 1. Roots loosened, free fall. The weightlessness felt like bungee jumping back in his old world, except he had no time to enjoy it. Eyes locked, spear clenched. Unsuspecting, the bear had no clue death was falling. The weapon drove right into its skull with a wet crunch. Blood sprayed, the beast collapsed instantly. Talk about an epic first hunt, and against a massive bear. The spear had punched completely through its heavy skull and deep into the carcass beneath, killing it instantly, just before hitting The ground, he pulled the aerial roots tight around his waist, and aside from getting squeezed to the point of nausea, he landed completely unhurt. He gasped, feeling a chaotic mix of hesitation and pure excitement. As a former city kid, this was his first real kill beyond simple insects, making the discomfort totally natural. But the thrill of the execution had his adrenaline absolutely roaring. Sorry, buddy, but he really needed those materials. Wiping the blood from his face, he used the roots to haul both the bear and the wolf carcass up to the first floor, avoiding any mess on the third floor where he actually slept. The first level was piled with firewood, but still had plenty of space for the bodies. After all, 100 square meters is tough to fill. The beast weighed over 200 kilograms. Far smaller than a grizzly, but massive for its species. Normal rules did not apply here, especially compared to his old world. A single look at the dead wolf proved that. At 100 kilograms, this beast is small here compared to predators back home. A gray wolf male averages only 70. The wildlife here is insane. Far more lethal. No wonder the warning voice said to never leave. Abandon the treehouse safety. Death out there is absolutely guaranteed. Survival is a constant battle. He heads right to the workbench. Time to craft. The basic bone knife recipe requires 5 white stones. He uses premium stones instead, forging a rare blue-grade knife. 1000 durability, perfect for cleanly harvesting high-grade monster parts. Better tools make light work, ready for some heavy lifting. Let us go. 0 skinning experience. None. Fortunately, the weapon itself is smart. The moment he grips it, perfect anatomical slicing guides flood his mind. Effortless sharpness. He quickly carves up both the bear and wolf. The system notifications arrive soon after. 1 premium green-grade bear hide. 1 broken wolf hide, 200 kilos of bear meat, and 80 of wolf. But check this out, he hits the jackpot with a blue tear paw. A rare blue bear paw. The database calls it a legendary delicacy. Cooked properly, it temporarily boosts the eater's physical strength. Exactly what he needs. He has always felt insecure about his muscle. In this survival hell, wasting raw energy on actual workouts is impossible. The ultimate shortcut. The rest of the drops are basic. Just meat, hides, and bones. Curiously, the knife completely vaporized the organs. All the offal is gone. He actually loves eating hot pot organs. But without any hot chili, they would taste way too rank for him anyway. Gone is gone. Oddly though, not a single tendon dropped. Probably bad luck. Annoying, but he has a bigger goal to target. Next up is crafting a survival backpack, since he has the hides. The recipe requires beast hide and 3 pieces of lakeside rope. He quickly harvests reeds by the lake and spins them into cordage. With the crafting materials finally ready, he builds a green-grade survival pack. 10 item slots. Best of all, it dramatically cuts down carrying weight. Reducing weight by 80%, it fits compactly without hindering any movement. Let us test it out. Loading 100 units of wood takes only 1 slot. 50 kilograms of weight suddenly feels like 10. Absolutely unreal comfort. With his new gear, the itch to explore outside returns instantly. Plenty of dead beasts litter the battlefield, pure loot waiting there. A massive bear carcass is easy to carry now. Time to check the map. The dangerous red dots on his system map have finally thinned out. The lake hazard is gone. He carefully studies the surrounding area through the window. Only the branches directly under his canopy were cleared so his banyan tree blends in. He can only peer through narrow gaps in the thinner leaves. Below, he spots several shredded animal corpses. It is a mess. Other starving beasts are already swarming the remains to feed. Scavengers are highly aggressive. Trying to harvest them right now is suicide. He would only get broken hides anyway. Definitely not worth it. With almost 0 chance for another legendary blue paw, he decides to stay put. He couldn't even finish 200 kilograms of bear meat by himself, with no way to preserve it. His only option was listing the meat on a trading platform, though food was not exactly scarce. In the forest, and nobody would trade crucial resources for food unless there was a famine. As for the starving people, he highly doubted they possessed any items he actually wanted. If he went down there now, only the bones would count as valuable resources. He could simply wait for this deadly wave to pass and collect them later. The monsters surely wouldn't chew up the bones anyway. Besides, the corpses lay far beyond his treehouse roots, and though his attack power had increased, he was way too fragile without proper armor. No legendary spearman here, just a target. ready to be swarmed and pinned. Forget that, if he had some animal tendon. He could make a bow and fight safely from a distance, but his current gear made the tiny reward not worth the danger. He checked his crafting materials again. Was this ruined wolf hide completely useless? It was still a white-grade beast hide. Suddenly a thought hit him. If high-grade materials made top-tier items could lower grades create basic gear, the backpack recipe required 1 green hide and 3 white ropes, but what if he substituted that broken wolf hide instead? Stepping up to his crafting bench, he initiated the process. A bright light flashed, revealing a mended white-grade backpack with 5 slots that cut weight by 50%. Talk about resource recycling. He did not need it himself, but he could easily sell something that effectively doubled carrying capacity at this early stage of the game. Almost nobody possessed a crafting bench yet. He could trade this precious bag to Lee Mans for high-grade stone or iron ore. Next, he opened the regional chat. The active player count sat at 8,156, then dropped by 1 right before his eyes. The end of protection meant brutal reality. Just a few hours in, and nearly 2,000 people were already dead, up here. 10 meters high in his treehouse, he was safe unless he did something incredibly stupid. Aside from that giant python, danger had not really reached him, yet the falling numbers felt heavy. As the beast outside finally retreated, the chat channel slowly buzzed back to life. Some celebrated their survival, while others were completely horrified by the massive death toll. One person warned everyone that over 20 hours remained in day 1, meaning this was only the beginning. Another user snapped, telling him to shut his mouth. Then the flood of thank yous started pouring in for Gi Choyang. Players praised his life-saving strategy as his reputation soared. Gi Choyang, there was that name again, instantly grabbing his attention. He scrolled back through the main channel and located the tip Gi Choyang had posted earlier. It was incredibly easy to find. Because half the users were repeating it, he had advised everyone to stay calm, explaining that treehouses masked human scent. As long as they kept completely silent, the monsters would never notice them. More importantly, they must never scream. He had also warned people not to peer outside out of curiosity, because low-level windows were positioned too close to the dirt with barely any cover at all, meaning a passing shadow near the glass would immediately attract deadly beasts and predatory birds. He suggested hiding completely out of sight. It turned out that treehouses masked body odor perfectly, and Gi Choyang knew it. Stroking his chin, he realized this man was a serious powerhouse, and he definitely needed to make contact with someone who likely held an absolute mountain of rare resources. Up until now, anything above blue grade is rare on the trading platform. Without an ability like his, others have to guess and drag items home to discover their grade, unless they get lucky, like Lee Manhwa, whose resources happen to be concentrated in a single mine. Born with a silver spoon, she can pull blue materials out of raw ore. For everyone else, blue is basically unreachable. Even he had to travel 2 days just to find his first blue resource, but the window is fine. His canopy is too dense to see through. From the outside, other treehouses are only 3 meters high, decorative in front of beasts that can leap that easily, and these monsters are strong enough that finding a treehouse means certain death. No wonder so many died. He checks the survivor count, stable now at 8,140. The tide receded, and scattered beasts are no longer threats unless people actively seek out trouble. Only a few hours past the protection window, and nearly 2,000 lives are lost. Then the world system speaks. The beast riot has officially ended, congratulating the survivors who made it through that first brutal night and became true treehouse explorers. The overall mortality rate reached 32.76%, with many gone forever. The voice asks everyone to honor their souls and wish them peace. It warns them not to lower their guard. The beasts have only retreated and can charge again at any moment. Everyone must gear up to survive the next wave. As a reward, the system announces a jungle exploration event starting today at 9 in the morning. Get ready, 32.76%. That high. His own jungle 188 lost under 20%, meaning other areas suffered horribly. But what does jungle exploration actually mean? There are no rules disclosed until 9. If this is a reward, is it actually safe? You just know there's a catch. Either way, the chat channel is already flooded with relief. People are crying tears of joy, calling out that they survived the night. They praise the big shot for keeping their losses so Low calling jungle 188 number 1. Others collapse from exhaustion. Planning to sleep and banking on a massive loot drop in the morning since he ate a blue-orange earlier, even with the effect fading. Coupled with the dining table bonus, he feels like he got a long rest. He is fully energized and wide awake. He checks the map once more. The red dots near his treehouse are completely gone. Most have gathered toward the northwest, packed inside a dark, unexplored region, clearly a massive beast. Nest, he promises himself never to head that way unless absolutely necessary. He sends Lee Manhwa the specs for a mended backpack, offering to trade. She does not reply, but he is not worried. After all, her treehouse is safely elevated, as long as she avoids taking foolish risks. She will be fine. With no reply, he eats another orange and a large red berry to prepare for scouting. Other survivors dare not step out yet, terrified of remaining monsters, but with his map, he has no fear. Nothing is nearby. The banyan roots lower him down, and he immediately spots the blue apple tree near his base, which has grown in a single day into a sapling 2 fingers thick, protected safely by the fence surrounding it. Tilted and broken from heavy impacts, but the apple tree itself was untouched. The ground was a mess of dark bloodstains and fur from fighting beasts. Glowing green feathers from birds of prey lay scattered. He picked one up. The system panel identified it as a green owl feather dropped in battle. With lingering blood, it was a raw material for stone arrows. He pocketed it. He still needed animal tendons for a bow. No luck with the bear or wolf. Could they only be harvested from specific beasts, or was it just bad luck? Had he ruined the tendons himself with his clumsy knife cuts, he wondered. Without a single long-range weapon option, he felt completely vulnerable and exposed. Oddly enough, there were absolutely no beast corpses left in these woods. Not even bones, only broken bushes and blood remained as proof of battle. No free resource gifts from this harsh world. He had to earn everything. After walking a long path, he only found 4 shed owl feathers. Then a sudden rustle came from the nearby bushes. He tensed instantly. He pointed his spear forward, trying to trace the map in his mind. To his shock, there were no red threat dots. Was it broken? Panic set in. If the map failed him, his safety was completely gone. Fierce predators, especially the big cats, could hunt with sudden, explosive speed. He focused entirely on defense, waiting for an ambush. Suddenly, the bushes rustled. A tiny brown head popped out of the bushes, white ears twitching softly. Wait, it looked familiar. The exact same red panda from before. He smiled. Of course, the map had missed it, since this creature was highly unique. It could move freely before protection ended, and it bore him 0 malice. There was no danger here, but aggressive beasts might have the same trick. If he ever met a hostile monster with that cheat, he was doomed. The red panda scrambled out of the wrecked bushes, repeating its adorable routine. It grabbed his shorts, whimpering softly while its fluffy tail swept the ground. He understood, reaching into his backpack to pull out a large red berry. "Do you want to eat?" he asked. The little creature nodded, whimpering. "You actually understand me." He was completely stunned. The panda tilted its head. So he teased it, claiming he would not give it any food. It panicked instantly, clinging to his leg with absolute desperation in its eyes. Its fluffy tail swished wildly. It really understood him. He relented, handing over the berry. The panda snatched it, licked it twice, and gulped it. It let out a highly satisfied squeak. This high-grade fruit was extremely popular. Not just for human survivors, the local wildlife absolutely loved them too. He remembered another massive berry bush across the lake, spotted 2 days ago. He had left it unharvested, worrying the ripe fruit would quickly spoil. But this little guy clearly did not care, begging 2 days in a row. Besides, he realized special blue fruits did not rot like ordinary ones. One in his pack stayed cool in 35-degree heat, time to harvest. After finishing its meal, the red panda stood upright, licking its paws. But just as it turned to run away, he grabbed it by the scruff. He lifted the tiny creature to eye level. It did not even struggle. It only tilted its head, wondering why this giant beast was holding it. It seems 2 quick feedings won it over. He asks if it wants to follow him. He promises 1 berry every single day. Seeing no struggle, he stops holding its neck, cradling the creature in his arms instead, and gently stroking the soft black fur on its belly. This is definitely no ordinary red panda. Every other land creature, from rabbits to bears except for a few fish, shrimp, and harmless insects, has been locked away. been locked up in dark rooms, yet this little guy was completely free and seemed highly intelligent, understanding his words, and completely resisting his creator authority. This creature is so bizarre that it might tie into the secrets of this strange world, maybe even revealing whether he can ever return home. Suddenly, it snuggles right into his arms, finding the embrace comfortable with no plan to leave. Then, it sticks out a tiny paw flashing 2 fingers. Is it actually trying to haggle? He stares in absolute fascination. Its fluffy tail keeps brushing against his arm, tickling him playfully. Suzin grabs the mischievous little thing and tells it room and board are covered. 1 red berry a day, plus even higher-grade fruits if it helps him out in the jungle. Its ears perk up instantly, and its tiny pink tongue quickly licks its lips. It wriggles free from his arms, climbs onto his shoulder, and drapes its big tail over the other side. Since they have a deal, he smiles and gently strokes its head. Rubbing against his palm, it snuggles down on his shoulder and closes its eyes to rest. A fantastic haul for a single trip, bringing back a pet that ignores the system rules. Even putting secrets aside, having a cute companion like this is an absolute win. Who could refuse a talking pet in a lonely place with no other human in sight? He decides to go harvest that red berry bush he spotted earlier, which had plenty. It bears at least 30 berries, meaning a whole month of rations for his little friend. Though he wonders if the panda will protest when he strips the entire bush bare. He remembers the location perfectly and arrives quickly, but a surprise awaits him. The red panda on his shoulder shows zero interest in the berries still on the bush. It merely opens its eyes for a second, then lazily shuts them again. He asks why it is ignoring its absolute favorite berry, and it just looks completely confused. Scratching its head with a paw like a human, it jumps down and picks one. It stuffs the berry inside its mouth, then violently shakes its head with a disappointed cry. Totally baffled, Suzin scratches his head. Are these berries somehow different? He decides to pick them anyway. If the panda won't eat them, he gladly will. But the moment he plucks the very first berry, the panda's eyes fly open wide. It stares right at the fruit in his hand. Didn't it just reject this exact thing? Testing a hunch, he offers the plucked berry. The panda eats it, squinting with joy. Yet it refuses the one still on the branch, only nodding when he picks another. He drops the fresh berry into his backpack, reminding it of their deal. They agreed on 1 per day, and it already ate 2. It scratches the backpack furiously. Unable to open it, it then tries licking his cheek to soften him up, but he refuses. Feeding it endlessly would break his bank. Suddenly, an interesting new theory begins to form. He always wondered why high-grade plants looked identical to the low-grade ones. To the original inhabitants here, these berries were probably nothing special, merely granted special new attributes by this bizarre survival game. And those attributes only manifest the moment a chosen survivor actually harvests them. Otherwise, the plant remains an ordinary berry. What a wild discovery. The mechanism might be about balance. Blue resources were so scarce that if beasts found them irresistible, the birds alone would devour every single fruit and leave absolutely nothing for humans. He felt this world was far less simple than he first imagined. Even the voice in his head might be an outsider. Maybe everyone here was just a lab rat. Some massive testing ground. He shook off the thought. Survival came first. This was not a problem for his current level. As he gathered, the little creature on his shoulder glared with a resentful stare, demanding more food. The little beast thought he was stingy. Luckily, the bush yielded another 32 berries. Since the creature already ate 2, he packed exactly 30 into his bag. With that, he headed back. It was around 4 or 5 in the morning now. The sky was already glowing with the rising sun. Dawn was close. The morning events would not start until 9. His mind felt sharp, but exhaustion weighed heavily on his body. Time to rest. He finally reached the base of his treehouse and climbed up under the little guy's amazed gaze. Using the root around his waist, he entered. The creature jumped down and ran around exploring everything. It chirped with curiosity, having never seen this. He warned the energetic little beast not to touch anything in the room. Then he swept all the blue food into his backpack for safety. After working all night, he was absolutely starving. He rubbed his flat stomach, thinking of the juicy bear meat and that special blue bear paw. 3 days without meat made him feel like he was losing his mind. He quickly carved 2 kilograms of meat off the bear and grabbed the blue paw. Setting up the grill by the fireplace, he prepared his feast. Stewing was best, but roasting had its own incredible flavor. he could not wait to try. As a lifelong foodie, he always dreamed of trying bear paw back home. But since bears were protected there, the culinary tradition had died out. He even planned to travel abroad to taste it legally. Talk about irony, right? Now he finally got the chance here. Unfortunately, he had no cooking pot. His crafting list lacked a pot or stove, despite having the materials. The system simply would not craft them. Better cookware required future unlocks. Using his bone knife, he sliced the meat and laid it on the grill. It was a pity he had no seasonings. He desperately needed to find salt. Without it, food tasted terrible, and his body would eventually break down. He could not survive like a wild beast. Soon, the tired little creature returned to the third floor and curled up right on his lap now. It ignored the roasting meat, so he handed it a crisp apple instead. The creature hugged it, gnawing away. He decided it needed a proper name. He suggested furball. The creature shook its head and bit the apple hard. Dissatisfied, it stared. He tried coffee, chocolate, and then key from its fur. The little creature tilted its head, but did not object to key. Key it was. The beast gave a soft cry but accepted the name. That counted as acceptance. Soon, the oil bubbled beautifully on the grill. The hot sizzle made his mouth water. This meal was absolutely delicious. Even without seasoning, he ate with immense relish, enjoying the wild taste. Bear paw stands above everything else. The meat is firm, fatty, and rich with gelatin. It is a rare delicacy that leaves his mouth slick with grease as he enjoys every bite. Afterward, he smiles at his greasy hands and heads down to the lake to wash. No danger. The map shows the red dots are packed deep in the lake center. Cleaning up is easy. To save himself future trips, he comes up with a plan. He crafts a large wooden basin, fills it, hauls it back, and lies down on his bed. Unlike the mushrooms, he can clearly feel the massive strength this bear paw has given him. A warm current flows from his belly outward while he eats, making him feel incredibly powerful. Carrying that full basin back should have been exhausting, yet it felt as light as a feather to him. He carries it outside his backpack, yet he is not even winded. This is insane strength. With the table and grill amplifying the meal, the bear paw gains are completely maxed out. His strength is up, and with the backpack reducing weight, he can carry even more. He is thrilled. The bear paw is amazing. He slowly drifts off to sleep. Morning bird song wakes him. The system screen reads 8:30. KK is still curled on his bed. The little pet's tail is wrapped around itself, fast asleep. He washes up and checks the screen. Everyone in the chat is bustling with a tense countdown. While some are incredibly excited, others warn not to get happy too early after last night's brutal nightmare. As players propose various teams, Lee Moonhye leaves a message asking how he got a backpack. She notes she walked for a long time after the tide and found absolutely no corpses. Did he kill those beasts, and why is his backpack white instead of green? Her message came at 7 in the morning, meaning she stayed up late and still woke up early. Apparently, she guessed he was still asleep, leaving only that single line. Talk about bold. He only dared go down because his map showed where the beasts were. Without that map, he would never have risked going out right after the tide. He messages back that he got lucky, killing a feeding beast and harvesting its skin. Then he asks if she wants to trade some of her blue stone and iron ore. Hearing this, she immediately fires off a video call to him almost instantly. Seriously, why does she love video calls so much? Thankfully, he is ready to answer. She marvels that he actually killed a beast, calling it incredible that he dared go out there. There is that vibrant voice of hers again. On the screen, she wears the novice set. The outfit puts her stunning figure and long, fair legs on full display for him. It makes his eyebrows twitch. She is incredibly unguarded so early in the morning. Still, the novice set actually looks pretty good on her. He tells her he was just lucky. He claims 2 beasts injured each other, and he simply reaped the rewards. Once again, he asks if she wants to trade the backpack for blue-grade supplies. She puts her hands on her hips, clearly dissatisfied with his steep asking price. Does he really expect her to trade precious blue resources for a white bag? She points out the protection period is over, meaning anyone can get beast hide now. Though clearly interested in the pack, she hesitates at the high cost. He reminds her not to forget about today's upcoming jungle exploration activity. It will surely turn up rare resources that the last 3 days have not revealed. He asks if she truly wants to carry everything by hand like she did before. The real value of the backpack is not just weight reduction, it frees up your hands. She knits her brows, still believing that his asking price is far too expensive. Although she has plenty of blue stone and ore, obtaining it was incredibly risky. She could hear some wild beast snoring nearby, until she drove it out or killed. The creature, her blue resources were strictly limited. Every piece spent was gone forever. She complained that he was taking advantage of her, insisting there would be plenty of these white backpacks by nightfall. After all, if people could not hunt lions or tigers, they could easily handle rabbits. He offered a sweeter deal: 2 blue stones, 2 blue iron ores, the backpack plus a red berry and 2 kilograms of bear meat. She gasped that he had actually killed bear. After last night's beast tide, strong survivors were bound to get good loot. Even without a bench, they could fashion basic sticks and hammers, the weakest blunt weapons, but in capable hands, they were almost as deadly as his stone spear. The trading platform was no longer the empty wasteland it used to be. With some users already listing meat, he put his Nodwolf meat up for green or blue resources. Still, nobody was selling backpacks or beast hides yet. Anyone with a crafting bench would build a pack first, and those without would not sell rare materials they had just discovered. Meanwhile, a user named Gi Cho Yang posted a shout that he owned a synthesis bench, offering to craft backpacks for anyone with beast hides. But no bench, they just had to message him privately, though whether anyone believed him was another story. Custom crafting meant handing over rare materials first. And without any reputation, no one would. Seeing his offer, Lee Moonhye was tempted. She had felt the red berries' effects last night, basically turning night into day without needing a torch to attract beasts. 2 of each resource was nothing to her. He pushed her further, asking how much a backpack would fetch if he listed it on the market. She made up her mind and sent over a trade request: 2 blue stones and 2 blue iron ores for 1 patched white backpack, 1 large red berry, and 5 kilograms of bear meat. Wait, he only offered 2 kilograms. Why 5? He looked at her speechlessly. Her face turned bright red and she looked away, whistling innocently. He shook his head and accepted the trade, knowing he was indeed taking advantage of the situation a bit. Even if he listed the backpack publicly, others were not as wealthy as this mine-owning girl, meaning there would be no buyers at that price. Letting her grab some extra meat did not matter with all the bear meat he had. She looked at the ugly, patched-up backpack in her hands with clear disdain, sniffed, and warned him that if she found no good resources today, she would curse him to death. Tonight, he laughed, but before he could even answer, she suddenly shrieked, her eyes going wide as she pressed herself against the screen, asking what that adorable creature was. Looking down, he saw Keek climbing onto his lap, rubbing its eyes sleepily. Not fully awake yet, Lee Moonhye's sudden scream had startled the little beast into a whimper as it stared blankly at the screen. She stammered that he actually kept a red panda. Dizzy with envy, his massive treehouse only impressed her for a moment, but this drove her wild. He corrected her that it was actually a then lifted Keek, gently waving its little paw to say goodbye to the big sister. As he prepared to hang up, she tried to protest, but the call abruptly cut off. It was almost 9, and he had no desire to explain things to her all over again. On her end, Lee Moonhye blinked in disbelief at the ended call. A surge of anger surged. No one had ever dared to hang up on her like that, and that little creature was just too cute. She was preparing to call him right back when a mysterious voice suddenly rang. Mysterious voice welcomed all survivors to their first challenge. It told them to pay close attention as it explained the rules. Within a 3-kilometer radius of each person's treehouse lay 3 hidden chests. These chests were bronze, silver, and gold, each holding rare resources. They could not get these items anywhere else. The bronze opened instantly, but the silver key was inside the bronze, and the gold key inside the silver. Every survivor had to find all 3 chests to claim the rewards. They needed them to upgrade their shelters and survive the next danger. The voice offered a chilling warning: do not dare go past 3 kilometers. Step out and terrifying things would happen. The clock was ticking until 6 tomorrow. Talk about a brutal twist. The 50 players with the lowest scores would leave this world forever. The voice asked if everyone was ready. It then officially declared the start of the jungle exploration event. The protagonist listened to this voice harder than any ranked match before. His life was literally on the line. He had to focus. Hearing that the bottom 50 would be cut, his eye twitched in pure disbelief. Brutal, this was exactly the kind of cruelty he expected. 50 people dead in every region, and this was just a reward event. That did not even count those who would get killed while exploring. 50 was only 0.5% of the 8,000 players left. But this was just the first challenge. Who knew what lay ahead? He started breaking down the rules. The chests had to be opened in order. Open them in order: bronze, silver, gold, but could they move them? Stashing the first chest in his inventory would make this so much easier. Their guardians, fighting overpowered monsters, would be the absolute worst case. There had to be visible markers. Searching a 3-kilometer area on foot is insane. Think about it, that is basically a small city center in just 2 days. Even with night vision and zero sleep, covering it alone was impossible. Relying on pure luck was not his style. Suddenly, Lee Manhwa called him. He answered and saw her unusually serious expression. She wanted to trade. She needed green wood urgently because she could not craft her advanced tools. He happened to need green stone, so they quickly finalized the trade. Afterward, she smiled and teased that if she survived, he had to let her. See his cute red panda. He smiled and gently patted KK's head. He decided to help this rich girl. She was his main mineral supplier. Plus, she was actually pretty easy to get along with, unlike others. He placed 2 special oranges on the trade screen and gave her advice. He told her to stay inside tonight if things out there got dangerous. These oranges were a massive help. Blue fruit was way less precious. One tree yielded hundreds of them, and the buff lasted only a few hours. They were basically temporary potions compared to permanent gear upgrades. Giving her these was a solid investment. She initially tried to refuse. But she froze after seeing the stat boost, instantly closing her mouth. She accepted the trade immediately and promised to pay him back later. She knew she got an absolute steal. This fruit was incredibly powerful. That paired perfectly with her red berries, basically letting her treat the night like day. If she made better use of the dark hours, her odds of landing in the bottom 50 dropped. Sharply, he also shared another trick he had worked out. She could gather resources before hunting chests, since the voice had targeted the bottom 50 by resource value, not chest contents or specific items, so even one blue resource would probably keep her safe because almost nobody else could gather blue materials. Her eyes widened as that sank in, and she asked if the voice had actually said that. Since she had not caught it clearly, it definitely did. He assured her, though it was still just speculation and a backup plan, since maybe the bronze chest was easy to find and held items worth more than blue, so finding a chest remained the top priority. Of course, that chance was tiny since some people did not even have green materials yet. If a bronze chest beat blue, then gold and silver would be untouchable. What he told her was also his own plan. The orange tree still had 70 or 80 oranges unpicked, and stripping them all made elimination impossible. She nodded, looking like she had found a powerhouse to lean on, promising to do exactly as he said. He told her to return around 7 that evening to exchange information, and she agreed with a laugh, telling him not to forget. After hanging up, he checked the regional chat, and the whole area had clearly fallen into absolute chaos. People were panicking that the bottom 50 would die, demanding to know why a reward event killed anyone, while others scrambled to find chests. One begged to trade a chest for everything he owned. Another claimed his father was highly influential, pleading for rescue with promises of massive future rewards. Crowd of young men and women, none over 30, had completely lost their heads. The chat was flooded with useless garbage containing 0 helpful clues. No one mentioned the strategy he had worked out. Gi Yang, the big shot who usually helped, did not show his face at all. No wonder. Sharing it publicly would completely ruin its value, as someone must land in the bottom 50, and nobody wants it to be them. When those 50 are cut, what rises in the remaining survivors will not be sympathy but pure relief, glad it was not them, a brutal, unforgiving reality. He pushed the thought aside, gathering his tools, the stone axe, pickaxe, and spear, shouldered his heavy backpack, and set off. First on the list was harvesting those oranges because, useful or not, it would buy him total peace of mind. After picking one, he tossed the fruit up to Key on his shoulder, who peeled the skin just like a human and devoured it happily with a funny, intoxicated look on its face. After clearing the tree, he opened the map to check nearby red dots, because if beasts guarded those chests, the markers would sit right on top of them. To his disappointment, except for the group swimming in the lake center, not a single red dot showed up within his resource zone, most remaining clustered to the northwest. That hilly, undulating region was visible from his high treehouse. but lay far away, easily more than 3 kilometers. The chests were not there. So where on earth could they be hiding? He pondered this deeply. Whatever, time to get moving, and maybe his discernment ability would guide him. He was not in much of a rush. The orange tree stood roughly 1 kilometer from his shelter, so he planned to scan the outer edge of his 3 kilometer territory first. This massive. His territory is just a tiny circle, 2 kilometers across, with his treehouse sitting right on the edge, meaning his exploration range completely covered the resource zone, along with plenty of extra land. It is time to check the untouched areas, thanks to his handy map. He never gets lost in this thick jungle, avoiding the endless circles most people find themselves trapped in. No markers needed. He just walks in a straight line, locking the heading in his mind until that strange voice warns him once more. It tells him not to go over 3 kilometers from the small treehouse, or things he definitely does not want to face will happen. He stops. This has to be the exact edge of that 3 kilometer limit. A quick glance reveals he has already walked past his resource zone, since almost everything glowing in his sight is simple white now, with only a few scattered green specks remaining. He decides to inspect those green targets anyway. They are just ordinary grade materials, the exact same items he already has stockpiled at home. Then Kiki, his little red panda resting on his shoulder, squeaks and leaps to the dirt. He asks what she found, and she just tugs on his pants to pull him forward. His treehouse is at the dead center of this whole circular domain, and right now he is standing at the very eastern edge of it. So as she leads him southwest, he knows they are heading somewhere completely new. Excitement builds up. This little creature really is his lucky star, there is no doubt about it. The local stream flows west to east. He followed it east before, all the way to the edge of his resource territory, where he built his home, then traced it back to this spot. Now Kiki is steering him toward the south side instead, a brand new direction where the map is completely blank. Fortunately, there are no red danger dots visible in the dark, which is a massive relief for him. Following close behind, he starts to sense something strange. The terrain looks normal at first glance, just like any other patch of forest with summer grass. But the plants here feel subtly different from the ones he saw earlier. He cannot quite put his finger on the issue, falling into a tense, brooding silence. Kiki keeps looking back, worried he has fallen too far behind. Seeing him slow down to analyze things, she quickly runs over and tugs his leg again. He asks why she chose this direction, but she only tilts her head. There is no point asking. She is guided by pure animal instinct. He shakes his head and studies the weeds, tilting his head back and forth, until all at once it clicks. Get ready, because this detail changes everything. Everywhere else the wilderness grows wildly and without any patterns, just chaotic overgrowth, but these plants are completely different, behaving in a strange manner. They are all leaning ever so slightly toward one direction, incredibly faint but noticeable. He can easily spot organized behavior, and there is order here. The air in this jungle is completely still, so wind did not cause this. If it were wind, they would sway instead of being frozen in place. He looks up at the trees to find the exact same unnatural phenomenon. While the branches grow normally, every leaf bends toward a single spot. That is the exact same spot the grass is pointing toward right now. Everything is being pulled toward a single point, a treasure chest. Who would say no to that? Exactly. He pulls a large red berry out of his backpack and holds it out. He hands it to Kik as a reward, admitting he could never have spotted the path without her. The little creature chirps happily, rearing up on her hind legs in pure excitement. She tugs his pant leg before quickly devouring the treat, her pace turning light and bouncy. She hops back and forth ahead of him. Seeing her relax makes his own tension melt away. As they walk deeper, the strange pull in the air grows even stronger. The surrounding weeds and shrubs are no longer just leaning in one direction. They are all pointing to one specific spot. He must be getting extremely close now. Yet his map shows no hostile red dots, and his eyes spot nothing unusual. Just empty white terrain with sparse green patches. Kik slows down too, looking highly hesitant. It is almost as if she senses danger ahead. He immediately calls his little partner back. He refuses to let her lead. There is no way he is risking his precious red panda. Kik obediently hops onto his shoulder and curls up, keeping her eyes locked dead ahead. Her fluffy tail wraps around his neck like a scarf. They both remain on high alert. The way the surrounding plants are pointing is unmistakable now. His heart begins to race. He picks up the pace, but suddenly, a massive wave of pure dread washes over him. His reflexes scream at him. On his mental map, a bright red dot suddenly flashes. It is right beneath him. He kicks off a nearby tree with all his might. He twists his entire body midair and dives. Just as he clears the area, chaos erupts. The very ground he was standing on splits wide open with a deafening crack. A massive cluster of razor-sharp vines shoots upward, each one as thick as an arm. They are dark green and pulsed with eerie red veins. Kik gets thrown to the dirt. She begins to squeak in protest, but instantly freezes as she witnesses the incoming threat. The plants twist together in the air, braiding into a giant, deadly drill. The massive construct turns and lunges directly at him with terrifying speed. He lets out a curse, rolling desperately to dodge the lethal second strike. Missing him by a hair, the massive wooden drill slams violently into the ground. Flying pebbles sting his face and arms, then the entire mass suddenly goes completely limp. As if it has used up all its energy, the thing freezes. His chest is heaving. On only his 4th day here, he has already stared death right in the face. And trust me, it is exactly as terrifying as it sounds. He leaps to his feet, scoops up the dazed Kik, and scrambles away. He ducks 10 meters back behind a tree and pulls out his trusty stone spear. He keeps his weapon ready, keeping one eye on the map for any other threats. There could easily be more of these deadly traps waiting under the dark soil. After waiting 10 full minutes, the massive, tangled vine has not made a single movement. Kik lets out a tiny, frightened whimper. He swallows hard and tightens his grip. He had stored the clumsy spear away earlier, since the map looked completely clear. Well, lesson learned. Keeping his eyes locked on the map, he slowly edges closer. He carefully prods the plant with his spear. Surprisingly, the tough vine is different now. The powerful weapon from moments ago has gone completely brittle, almost like dry wood. A single thrust punches straight through, causing the entire structure to fracture and crack. Shattered pieces crumble off and drop to the dirt. He is completely baffled. How does something designed to crush him to pieces suddenly turn into an onion ring? He spots the massive root tearing through the soil, dragging up something buried deep beneath. Out comes a bloated mass, looking like a giant sweet potato. When he pokes the weird tuber, its shell shatters, revealing a glint of bronze. Leaving a treasure chest in a place this creepy, he mutters a quiet curse. He jabs the vine repeatedly until it finally stops moving for good. Then he hacks the entire thing to pieces, exposing the old bronze container fully. The chest sits completely bare before him. There is absolutely no keyhole. It should open right up, but survival has taught him to be extremely cautious. His nerves are wound tight. He is on edge at every single sound. He half expects some hidden monster to spring out when he opens the lid. No red hostels show on his map right now. Still, a deep unease lingers. That vine had no warning dot until it was ready to strike from below. It burrowed from deep underground, exactly like that massive python from the lake. Its tracking signal disappeared the moment it dove back under. What else is down there? Seriously, what kind of horrifying nightmares are hiding right under his feet? Suddenly, standing on solid ground feels like a massive gamble. He suddenly wants to retreat to his treehouse, 10 meters up in the air. Safely inside, 16 or 17 meters high, he might actually find some peace of mind. On day 1, the voice warned them never to abandon their treehouse sanctuaries. Feeling the terrifying threats rising from the earth, he finally understands why. But there is no time to panic. He must check the treasure. Staying highly alert, he circles behind the chest to give himself room to react. If something jumps out, he will have a precious second to defend himself. Fortunately, he is just overthinking. Nothing leaps out. He peers inside the lid. Right at the top sits a large bag of what looks like standard fertilizer. He examines it and the system identification triggers: green-grade organic fertilizer. This useful item turns barren white wasteland into rich, fertile green ground. It also accelerates growth, and the bag still has 50 portions remaining. This land-altering item is a literal lifesaver for struggling survivors. Since dirt cannot be traded, anyone stuck with terrible soil needs this desperately. The growth speed-up feature, however, does not really catch his interest. He shoves the heavy bag into his backpack, revealing the items hidden underneath. First up are 2 bags of seeds, identified by the helpful system. The first bag holds birch seeds, taking 10 days to harvest fine wood. The second bag contains pine seeds, which also harvest in 10 days for round wood. Getting new timber options is a massive win. finding this chest was incredibly lucky. The voice warned that missing these limited-time items meant losing them forever. He would either be stuck without wood or forced to buy from greedy players. With the fertilizer, he can cultivate these essential resources in no time. The chest really came fully stocked with perfectly matching survival gear. His small companion peers over the rim, pointing her tiny paws deep inside. Beneath the seeds lie a silver compass and a matching key for a silver chest. Curious about the silver compass, he picks it up to inspect the description. It is a green-grade chest locator, pointing toward treasure once every 2 hours. It reveals the direction of a silver treasure chest every 2 hours, pretty decent loot. He almost spins it on the spot but catches himself, knowing it only points a general direction. It would be far smarter to use it from the treehouse at the dead center of his territory, narrowing the range as much as possible, he tells Kiki. They are heading home. By the time they get back, the sun hangs high overhead. He left a little after 9 in the morning, and it is now 1 in the afternoon. The first chest was found in just 4 hours, which he's pretty satisfied with. He hauled the empty bronze chest back too, since bronze is bronze and one day he might be able to break it down into materials. Sitting in his chair, he sets the silver compass on the table and flicks the needle. It is heavier than he expects and, instead of slowing down gently, it spins faster and faster, then gives a crisp little chime and finally begins to wind down. At last, it settles, pointing west of the treehouse. That is the exact direction he just came from. West is the stream. The needle points back the way the stream flows from, which means the silver chest is likely sitting somewhere along the path he took when he first arrived. He wonders if it is in the Black Bear Cave. He studies the compass and thinks it over. When he came in from his spawn point, he looked the surroundings over carefully, and apart from that one Black Bear Cave along the way, nothing seems special. Then again, one cannot reason about a chest location like a normal person. Who could have guessed the bronze one would be buried inside the root of a vine? That spot was treacherous enough that without his ability, he might have walked straight into the trap, and even if it had not killed him, it would have left him hurt. So the silver chest will not be in an ordinary place either, and he has to watch every step. He decides to check the Black Bear Cave first and wonders idly whether there is still a bear in it. The skin of the black bear he killed is now the backpack on his back. He opens the map and looks, and there is no red dot in the cave right now. Maybe his bear really was the one that lived there, which would suit him fine because last time he only managed to stab a wounded, defenseless bear to death with the treehouse helping him. Facing one head-on with a cold weapon, he would be nothing but bear dung. If it is still alive, he will have to outthink it. Kiki lies on the table batting the compass needle with her paws, but it has gone into cooldown and will not work for 2 hours, so it just turns listlessly under her taps like a clock with a stripped gear. He opens the regional channel. The head count has already dropped under 8,000. Only 7987 left, and he remembers reading 8140 this morning. That means 150 people died this quickly. It rattles him, and honestly, it should. Most were probably killed by monsters guarding their chests, and some may have drawn not a bronze chest, but a gold or silver one, with guardians far nastier than his vine. The so-called elimination of the bottom rank was just a trick to pry survivors out of their treehouses. The real danger is the monsters on the chests. He gets more careful. He has no intention of dying to an ambush. Someone in the regional channel is saying the same thing. The narrator in him reads it all as it scrolls. One person asks if anyone has made it back. Another answers that they have, that they got a bronze chest, that a snake thick as a bowl burst from the ground and wrapped them up and nearly strangled them to death before a wooden stick happened to wedge in its mouth, explaining that the snake shattered on its own after a few seconds, leaving a bronze chest in its wake. They swear they are not going back out because one chest is enough. Someone asks another if they got a chest too, and that person replies they have not even left because a beast bit off one of their legs. Now they are just waiting to die, knowing they will die either way. They guess maybe the bottom 50 are drawn at random from everyone who either way, guessing that perhaps the bottom 50 are drawn at random from everyone who returns empty-handed. A bunch of replies follow, telling them they have a great attitude, offering condolences, and joking about waiting to die together. Our main character watches this conversation in silence. Some survived the initial clash but took wounds so brutal they cannot even move, which is why they sit and resign themselves to fate. It is a harsh warning for him too, since a serious injury means instant elimination at the next event. From the survivor who got a chest, it seems everyone faced a different danger, but found roughly the same rewards inside the bronze chests. He had hoped to search the chat for useful intel, but with every single location and guardian being different, there is no real pattern to follow. To keep himself from dozing off in the afternoon, he eats an orange and stashes a few fresh ones in his backpack, leaving the rest in the treehouse. Before tossing one to KK, she eats it with crazy enthusiasm. He warns her not to drip sticky orange juice on his shoulder, but she just chirps back. Soon, he follows the stream upstream, a familiar path he has walked many times, first to build the treehouse, then to gather pebbles from the water, not to mention grabbing that green stone block inside the Black Bear cave. Yet, despite all those trips, he never noticed anything strange along this specific stretch of river. Most likely, the silver chest appeared suddenly, just like the bronze one, perhaps like the leaning weeds before. The surroundings will give him a sign. Now watch, he keeps an eye out for any subtle change as he goes. When the Black Bear cave comes into view, he realizes he has been walking in deep concentration and has already arrived. There is no red dot on the map, meaning the cave is completely empty for now. Black bears travel day and night, so he cannot know if this one simply has not come home yet or has already been turned into the leather backpack on his back. Still, caution never hurts. He keeps his mind glued to the map, eyes locked on the cave interior, stepping inside on light feet. That strange, low wind sound echoes in his ears again. There has to be a massive hollow space beneath this cave, like some hidden cavern, and the rushing air makes the sound. This might just be the entrance to an entire uncharted underground world. The theory itself is incredibly exciting, but he feels along the cold stone walls and cannot find a single opening connecting anywhere. The howling wind echoes from everywhere at once, making it impossible to trace the source. Perhaps there is no open cavern at all, meaning he would have to smash a path through with his pickaxe. But is this really where the silver chest is buried? This wind sound has been here since his very first day. By his own reasoning, the silver chest should be a fresh change to the environment, not a noise that has always existed. On top of that, his treasure-hunting red panda is showing zero reaction on his shoulder. In fact, she is snoring. This little creature is incredibly sleepy. He shakes his head, deciding to treat the wind sound as just backup plan. First, search the river. If he comes up empty, he will just wait for the compass to cool down and reset. He heads back out and continues upstream along the bank until a warning suddenly flashes, the one telling him not to leave the treehouse by more than 3 kilometers, or something terrible will happen. He has hit the boundary again. He stands right at the edge but feels no rush to turn back. He is not dumb enough to cross that 3-kilometer line, yet he remains deeply curious why he cannot leave this area at all. Does the treehouse only protect them within a 3-kilometer radius, inside that safe zone, except for the red dot at the center of the lake? Absolutely no other beasts remain in this zone. He wonders if that is because of the treehouse or the mysterious voice. He feels a guest forming, but it is not fully ready yet. He casts a long look at the ground past the boundary, the exact direction he came from, which he once crossed completely unharmed but can no longer go back through. Before, it was the newbie protection period keeping him safe, but now it is the treehouse. He stops overthinking. Nearly 2 hours have passed, so he walks back to the Black Bear cave. Standing right at its entrance, he activates the compass a second time. Another crisp chime rings and the needle points opposite the cave, toward the far side of the stream. The chest is across the water, meaning he will have to cross. The stream looks easy enough, not deep at all, even here in the wider downstream stretch. The deepest part is only 30 or 40 centimeters. Just as he is about to step in, he completely stops. Cold. What if the monster is not on the far bank, but right in the water, walking in like that would mean walking to his death. 40 centimeters is shallow, but more than enough to drag at his legs and slow him to a crawl. He rubs Kek's head roughly to wake her. She chirps, annoyed at being woken. Abruptly, he lifts her off his shoulder, holds her facing the stream, and asks her to sense if anything is wrong. She found the last chest by scent, after all, and her intuition has earned his complete trust. She tilts her head, still groggy at being forced to work, then hops down, dips a paw into the water, turns, shakes her head with a soft cry. Nothing. He frowns, wondering if he is Overthinking things since neither Kiki nor the map shows a warning, he tries to clear. His mind lifts her back onto his shoulder, pulls off his shoes, and starts. Across, the current is bone-chillingly cold, instantly numbing his feet with it. A few steps, he cannot understand why the water is freezing when the outside air is over 30 degrees. After just 2 steps, he stops. The further he goes, the more panicked he feels. It is that same crisis sense from when the vines erupted, only slightly weaker, warning him that something dangerous is closing in. Something is in the water. There really is something in there. Trusting his gut, he instantly bolts, taking huge strides straight back. He has not reached the deep water yet, so running is the fastest way to safety. Just as he turns, a massive splash erupts. Behind him, like something rising from the depths, Keki shrieks on his shoulder. In a hoarse, sharp roar, completely unlike her usual cute chirps, trying to scare off whatever is back there. He twists his head just enough to catch a glimpse out of the corner of his eye, his pupils shrinking to pinpoints. He sprints for the bank like his soul has left his body. A massive crocodile has surfaced in the stream. It is far larger than any normal beast, easily big enough to remind him of an ancient monster from the late Cretaceous, the massive Deinosuchus, one of the largest crocodiles to ever exist. No, actually, it is even bigger than that. This is a giant creature resting quietly along the stream bed, in line with the current, and as it rises, the entire water level visibly. He keeps checking his map like a hawk, but there is no red dot lighting up. His useless map is completely blind. What kind of trash creator system function is this? It is a total scam. He runs for his life, screaming inside his head, scrambling onto the bank in 5 strides. To his confusion, the dinosaur just stands there, no intention of attacking. If it wanted him dead, he never could have escaped, not against a crocodile that strikes with such terrifying speed, capable of tearing him to pieces in a single bite. But it just watches him quietly, just like that giant python did. Same massive body, feeling like a relic that does not belong to this era. Only one major difference: the python showed up as a blazing red dot on his map, while this giant crocodile does not appear at all. It is just like Kiki, sitting on his shoulder right now, baring her tiny teeth and snarling at the beast without any real effect since she is just too cute. The predator slowly opens its massive jaws. His expression goes grim as he prepares to run, but wait, look at that flash of silver inside its mouth, a silver treasure chest resting inside. He helplessly asks out loud if they can please avoid playing games with his life. Kiki chirps beside his ear, sounding confused. The giant beast simply tosses its head, throwing the silver chest onto the bank, landing right at his feet with a heavy thud. Then, closing its mouth, it glances at him with tiny eyes against its body. Under his weary, baffled stare, it slowly sinks back into the stream bed, settling right back where it was. Instead of leaving, it was resting there the entire time, probably from the very first day he passed by. This creature has to be a special entity like Kiki, totally unbound by this world's rules, but regardless of its low malice, it is still a crocodile. Its terrifying size and sharp teeth are enough to make him shudder, but for now it clearly means him no harm. Looking at the chest at his feet, he feels like he is dreaming. He has somehow walked away with a silver treasure chest, though its location is absolutely insane.